What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 2SD Chapter 21 Moby D *K. Weird Events, That Night. Moby D *K follows the ocean currents and keeps sailing in the deep sea under the influence of ocean currents. At this time, a pirate was getting up in a daze and wanted to go to the toilet to drain the water. Click. Click. The footsteps of pirate minions kept ringing, echoing in the corridor. Squeak. Sudden. A sound that made one's teeth ache reached the pirate's ears. What? The pirate, who was still sleepy for a moment, suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. The whole person suddenly became sober. The pirate gangster looked around cautiously, but found nothing. Only the dim oil lamp flickered in the hands of the pirate gangster. The pirate gangster shook his head, thinking that he was hallucinating, and wanted to continue going to the toilet. However, the moment he let down his guard, a tentacle as dark as ink stretched out from the shadows behind him, slowly passing over the skin of his neck. Cool, a moment. The pirates only felt a cold shiver from the soles of their feet to the sky. He turned his head stiffly and saw a huge black tentacle-like thing passing in front of his eyes. Ah! A huge scream suddenly broke out, and then he fainted. He was not discovered until the next morning. Ha ha ha. This guy got up to go to the bathroom last night and fainted in the corridor, and now he says he saw a ghost. Really, I really saw a ghost. It was a monster with black tentacles. Didn't you all see it? The pirate gangster asked with some confusion. No. The other pirates all said in unison. You must have seen the octopus outside the coating, right? After all, this is the sea, you must have seen it wrong. Did I really see it wrong? The pirate scratched his head in confusion. Gu la la la. There are no ghosts in this world, don't scare yourself. Newgate also thought it was quite bizarre when he heard this, but he also didn't believe in the existence of ghosts. But the next day, why'd I feel so scary? I also saw a ghost. Advertisement, is it something like a black tentacle? That's right. How do you know? Because I saw it too. For a time, the entire Moby D *K was in panic. Dad, do you think there is really a ghost? Marco looked at Newgate with some fear. Although Jinbei on the side did not speak, his eyes kept looking around, obviously starting to panic. Black shadow tentacle. Tsunade fell into deep thought when she heard this, because she had seen it before, but when she saw it, it was the black shadow flashing past the window. At the time, she thought it was just an octopus passing by. After all, it was in the sea now. But now it seems that it may not be that simple. A dark shadow like a tentacle? After hearing this, Newgate fell into deep thought, and at the same time looked in Sakura's direction unintentionally. Sakura was seen nervously playing with her hands. Newgate nodded with some understanding when he saw this scene. After all, Newgate had seen Sakura's life, so he knew what the black shadow they saw was. And this situation only appeared after Sakura came to the ship. And this dark shadow only appears after Sakura falls asleep. Based on these conditions, Newgate was able to be quite sure of what the black shadow was. It is something created by the mud in the Holy Grail in Sakura's world with the help of Sakura's subconscious. It seems that the hidden potential in Sakura's potential is this dark shadow. It is estimated that the condition for triggering the hidden potential is to control this dark shadow. Newgate held his chin in thought. Sakura, Newgate suddenly called Sakura. Ah, old Dad, what's wrong? Sakura suddenly panicked when she heard Newgate's call. Because that dark shadow appeared because of her. But now there is a panic. What if the father drives him away? Sakura looked at Newgate in a panic. That black shadow appeared because of you, right? Newgate said with a gentle look on Sakura's face. Sakura's face turned ugly when she heard this. Sure enough, Dad knows that this is all his fault. Dad should drive him away. Sakura almost cried, looking at Newgate with a grieved expression. That's right, it appeared because of me, Dad, I know. Can you wait until you get to a suitable place before driving it away? Hearing this, Newgate looked at Sakura with a puzzled look on his face. When did I say I was going to drive you away? Advertisement, Dad, aren't you going to drive me away? Sakura laughed happily when she heard this. Gu la la la. You are my daughter. how can I drive you away? But Sakura, do you have any way to control that black shadow? Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be problems if you keep doing this. Newgate said somewhat seriously. No, Sakura immediately shook her head, although she could feel that the black shadow had a very deep connection with her. But Sakura had no control over it at all. This is troublesome. Newgate couldn't help but have a headache after hearing this. After all, according to what he saw from Sakura's world, if this black shadow was given enough time to grow, it would eventually turn into a very terrifying thing. Although it is powerful, if you can't control it, it will hurt yourself. Hidden potential S+. Wait. Suddenly a light flashed in Newgate's mind. If Sakura can only be promoted to S+ if she masters Sombra's potential, what will happen if Sakura's potential is already S+? As soon as this idea appeared in Newgate's mind, it suddenly became out of control. He immediately took out an S+ potential enhancement potion. This is? Sakura looked at her father in shock, because she had seen Marco and Jinbei use it, so she naturally knew what it was. It was because she knew what it was that she understood how precious it really was. Dad, drink this, maybe you can master that black shadow. Newgate said to Sakura gently, but this thing is so precious. Sakura was a little hesitant, because her father and her brothers and sisters were so good to her, so she was satisfied to be so happy. How could he be so greedy and drink that precious potion? Sakura, since Dad gave it to you, just drink it. When you become stronger in the future, you will have to protect Dad. Tsunade saw Sakura's hesitation and immediately spoke to persuade her. Goo la la la. Yes Sakura, drink this and become stronger. Dad will need you to protect him in the future. Are you willing to protect Dad? Newgate said softly. Hearing this, Sakura immediately nodded with certainty and said, no one has ever loved Sakura so much, and Sakura has never been so happy. All this is given by Dad. If anyone wants to hurt Dad, I will never do it. I'll let him go. After saying that, Sakura no longer hesitated and drank the potion in one gulp. Bump! Suddenly a loud sound burst out from Sakura's body. Chapter 22 Sakura's Changes, arriving at Death Canyon. A mass of something as black as ink, with flashing red lines, burst out from Sakura's body. In an instant, Sakura was tightly wrapped, forming something like a dome. Dad, is this? Seeing Sakura's strange change, Tsunade suddenly asked worriedly. Don't worry. Sakura is undergoing transformation. As long as she succeeds, she should be able to control the black shadow, and her potential will be greatly improved. At this time, in Newgate's sight, Sakura's attribute panel was also slowly changing. Name: Edward Sakura. Age: 6 years old. Potential: A+, S+, transforming. Power: G-Class. Speed: G-Class. Energy: G-Class. Body Class: G. Combat Skills: None. Ability: Magic Circuit Contract Imprint. Evaluation: The girl who masters magic has terrifying power hidden in her body. Power enough to destroy an entire city, close double-angle bracket. After 10 minutes passed like this, suddenly, the red lines on the giant egg that Sakura transformed began to glow red. It was as if something was about to burst out of his body. Suddenly all the black shadows quickly retracted towards Sakura's body. And Sakura's figure appeared in everyone's sight again. I saw a girl wearing a red and black tentacle-shaped dress standing quietly in the center of the field. The whole body is covered with red lines, and the body also exudes a powerful aura. Name: Edward Sakura. Dark Sakura. Age: 6 years old. Potential: S+. Power: G-Class, G+. Speed: G-Class, G+. Energy: G-Level, S+ Infinity. Body Grade: G, G+. Combat Skills: Black Shadow controls the void. Start. Ability: Blackening Magic Circuit Contract Seal. Evaluation: The girl who masters magic has terrifying power hidden in her body. Power enough to destroy an entire city, close double-angle bracket. Advertisement: Sure enough, the potential has been raised to S+. Newgate looked at Sakura's attribute panel and nodded involuntarily. But, when he set his sights on Sakura's energy attributes, he was a little confused. System: What's going on with the energy bar on Sakura's attribute panel? Newgate asked doubtfully in his mind. Ding! After turning black, Sakura can break through time and space and absorb unlimited magic power from the Holy Grail. The magic power she possesses is almost close to infinity. However, due to Sakura's magic circuit, the magic power she can release in a single time is S+ at most, close double angle bracket. So that's it. Newgate also nodded when he heard this. I have to say that Sakura is really strong in this state. Not only her physical fitness but also other aspects have been greatly improved. The most important thing is that Sakura in this form has almost endless energy. What is this concept? It is equivalent to Sakura having almost unlimited use of any skills she can use. Sakura? Newgate tentatively called to Sakura. Dad? Sakura also answered immediately. You should be able to control the shadow now, right? Newgate inquired. Okay, but Dad, can I go back to the room and change my clothes? Sakura was a little uncomfortable at this time, covering her key parts. Goo la la la. No problem, Newgate said happily without much thought. Sakura returned to the room and locked the door before releasing her blackened state. What was unexpected was that the black and red dress he wore was actually made of magic power, and after the magic power was dissipated, Sakura turned out to be naked. Call. Sakura let out a heavy breath. She didn't expect that in the process of transforming into that state, all the clothes on her body were destroyed. After a while, Sakura returned to the deck again. Since Sakura has completely taken control of the Black Shadow, the strange events on the Moby D*K have also come to an end. I don't know why, but since the strange incident, the voyage of the Moby D*K has become extremely smooth. Finally 2 days later, following the current, the Moby D*K is finally arriving at the New World. Looking at the sea getting closer and closer, Newgate couldn't help but laugh. Finally, Moby Dick soared into the sky along with the current, and the coating on its body also shattered. Moby Dick landed smoothly on the sea of New World. Goo la la la. Advertisement, New World, I'm finally back. Newgate looked at this familiar environment and couldn't help shouting. Lord Newgate. At this time, a pirate gangster came over immediately and said in a panic. Do you have any other plans next? Or should we go directly to Death Canyon? Go straight to Death Canyon, Newgate said directly without any hesitation. Yes. As he said that, the pirate guy left a newspaper and left here. Looking at the newspaper left by the pirate gang, Newgate picked it up out of boredom and read it casually. Suddenly a striking headline caught Newgate's attention. The strongest man in the world is recruiting subordinates. What is his conspiracy? It seems that Rock's guy has already started taking action. Newgate looked at the newspaper reports and suddenly thought to himself. I wonder if he will invite me this time? Newgate thought to himself as he looked at the newspaper. After all, if Rock's pirate is not added, finding a suitable devil fruit for Marco will become Newgate's biggest headache. After all, Marco's phoenix fruit was a trophy obtained after following Rocks after attacking a country. Because I contributed the most at that time, I allowed myself to get this devil fruit. So joining Rock's pirate in the short term is the right choice. But thinking about the climate here, Newgate is not worried at all. After all, that guy Rocks invited almost all the powerful people in New World. And his own strength is definitely one of the best in New World, coupled with the existence of Tsunade. That guy from Rocks will definitely invite himself. After thinking about it, Newgate didn't say anything more, but lay comfortably on the deck chair and basked in the sun. Several of my own children on the deck are training hard. Among them, Marco, Jinbei, and Sakura are doing relatively basic physical exercises. As for Tsunade, he gave Tsunade the training method of shaving. After all, Tsunade's speed is too slow. If you don't keep an eye on your improvement estimates, you don't know when you will reach the admiral level. Just like that 10 days later, a dead island appeared in front of Newgate. Newgate's eyes also flashed. Death Canyon, Chapter 23 Death Canyon, Captain Jon. After a long voyage, Newgate and his party finally set foot on the land of Death Canyon. At this time, on the land of Death Canyon, Newgate and his group of more than 40 people were marching forward mightily. Although Death Canyon is lifeless, it is better to keep your feet on the ground than to float on the sea. So except for a few people who stayed on the boat to watch the boat, Everyone else followed Newgate to Death Canyon. Death Canyon is lifeless and desolate along the way. But it's not like there are no plants at all. Due to the harsh environment here, many plants cannot survive here. Therefore, Death Canyon has become the home of cacti that can adapt to the Qianhan environment. There are pitiful cacti everywhere here, with red fruits on them. Dad, what are you doing here on this island? It feels so desolate here. Along the way, there is yellow sand, and the mountain is bare, except for cacti. Feeling the environment here, Tsunade also asked with some doubts. Well, the purpose of coming here is to find a weapon. Hearing this, Newgate's eyes also flashed. Cut from the cloud. That's right. His Kongyunch was discovered on this island. Kongyunch is a supremely sharp knife. Although few people come to this island, but, with such a precious weapon, Newgate thought it would be better to get it first. So one of Newgate's goals after coming back from rebirth is Death Canyon, to get the Kongyunch back in order to avoid long nights and dreams. Arms? Tsunade looked at Newgate with some confusion. Yeah. Newgate nodded and said, it's the supreme sharp knife. Kongyunki. The supreme sharp knife. Tsunade's pupils shrank when she heard this, and she looked at her father in shock. After all, she had been in this world for so long, and she also knew the preciousness of Yamato, the supreme sword. And now his father actually said that such a precious weapon would be on this island. Dad. That's a treasure worth 5 billion belly. How long can you bet on it if you sell it? Tsunade said excitedly with a money-obsessed look in his eyes. Newgate was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that such a powerful weapon would be gambling money in Tsunade's eyes. But thinking of Tsunade's character, he immediately smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly. But when he looked at the fruits on the huge cactus on the roadside, Newgate immediately rolled his eyes and looked at Tsunade, Marco and the others with a wicked smile. Advertisement cactus fruits are generally edible, and they taste good and are very similar to dragon fruit. But, due to the special environmental factors of Death Canyon, the cactus fruit here tastes sour and refreshing. As the name suggests, it is sour and refreshing, and the taste is not bad, but, it's sour. It can make people sour to the point of doubting life. Newgate remembered that in his previous life, he had eaten a large bowl of food without knowing it. That sour ultimate feeling is still vivid in my memory even now when I think about it. Goo-la-la-la. Everyone has been walking for such a long time. We are tired. Let's take a rest here. Tsunade Marco. Let me tell you, there happen to be cactus fruits here. I'll pick some for you. As he spoke, Newgate took a knife, collected some cactus fruits, and even peeled them off. It was handed to Tsunade, Marco, Jinbei and Sakura with meaningful expressions on their faces. Real? Tsunade looked at his father's smile and felt a little hairy on his back for some reason. Really, if you don't believe me, I'll eat it for you to see. As he spoke, Newgate grabbed a cactus fruit and threw it into his mouth. Hiss. So sweet. In an instant, the irritating sour smell hit Newgate's tenling guy. Even though he was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but gasp. However, he held it back in order to trick Tsunade and the others. It's so sweet. Eat it quickly. Newgate suppressed the corners of his mouth that wanted to twitch and said with an expectant look on his face. Although Tsunade was still a little suspicious, looking at his father's expectant look, he did look like he had eaten something delicious and wanted to share it. So under Newgate's expectant gaze, he threw a cactus fruit into his mouth. The moment the cactus fruit entered his mouth, Tsunade knew that he had been tricked by his father. So sweet, acid, very sour, extremely sour. For a moment, Tsunade felt like he was going to be numb. Tsunade's expression almost twisted for a moment, but when he thought about it, he couldn't be tricked alone. So he abruptly controlled his expression that was about to lose control. He forced a stiff smile and looked at Marco, Jinbei and Sakura and said, "Eat it, it's really sweet. It's so good, I want to eat it." Advertisement. After receiving Tsunade's approval, the three little ones immediately rushed forward, eagerly picked up the cactus fruit and threw it into their mouths. Ba ba ba, ah, Daddy lied. It kills me. The three little ones were all numb immediately. They thought it would be very delicious, but it turned out to be so sour when it entered the mouth. Goo la la la. It's so sour, ha 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 ha. Don't blame me. Tsunade ate it first and she didn't even remind you. Seeing the miserable appearance of his unlucky child, Newgate couldn't help laughing. Upon hearing this, Tsunade gave Newgate a resentful look, then picked up the water bag and started gargling. Gu la la la. Newgate looked at them and wanted to continue laughing. But, suddenly, a terrifying momentum came from the other side of Death Canyon. Dad. After this period of training, Tsunade also successfully mastered observation hockey, and she also sensed the momentum the moment it appeared. There's a great guy here, Newgate nodded and said. The momentum coming from the other side of the island, Newgate also instantly felt the strength of the opponent. In terms of momentum alone, that person is probably on par with me. Although the momentum felt quite familiar, after all, he didn't see anyone, and Newgate wasn't sure who it was. Newgate felt the opponent's momentum, and then raised his feet and walked in the direction of the opponent. On the other side of Death Canyon, they also felt Newgate's momentum, and they also walked towards each other as if they had a telepathic connection. Soon, the two parties met in the center of Death Canyon. Edward Newgate, I didn't expect to appear here. I saw a man with pink-white hair, wearing a captain's cape, and two long knives hanging on his waist, saying boldly. Goo la la la. Jon. If you don't go looking for the treasure, what are you doing here? The person who came was none other than Captain Jon, a great pirate who, like Newgate, had become a supernova at the same time and had prospered in the New World. Chapter 24. The Jon Pirates are defeated. Gouda. When do I need to report to you, Edward Newgate, where I am going? Jon took a sip of wine and looked directly at Edward Newgate. Captain Jon accidentally got a treasure map, which recorded the burial location of the supreme sharp knife Kong Yunki. This is very tempting for Jon. After all, Captain Jon is different from other great pirates. His ambition is to collect all the treasures in the world. Originally, he was not sure whether Kong Yunki was hiding in Death Canyon. But, after seeing the appearance of Edward Newgate, he had already determined that Kong Yunki was indeed here. Goo la la la. That's not necessary, Newgate replied with a smile. At the same time, I was also a little confused about the appearance of Captain Jon. After all, I came to look for Kong Yunki this time much earlier than I did in my previous life. You must know that during the time when I joined Rock's Pirate in my previous life, I had not yet obtained Kong Yunki. And now Captain Jon's appearance really confused him. I don't know if history has changed because of my resurrection, or if Jon has been to this island in the first place, but he just didn't find Kong Yunki. Newgate looked in the direction of Captain Jon and said to himself. But no matter what, Newgate was secretly glad that if he arrived one day late, Kong Yunki might really fall into Jon's hands. At the same time, this incident also sounded the alarm for Newgate. After all, with his rebirth, the development process of the world has also changed, so Newgate cannot predict many things. Ha ha ha. Edward Newgate, Jon suddenly laughed and said, although we have all been called supernovas, but it seems that the winner will be decided here today. Goo la la la. Although I don't know what is in Death Canyon, it seems that we both want to do something here. It seems that we can't do it without knocking you away. Newgate suddenly looked in the direction of Jon, his eyes full of aggression. Edward Newgate, are you looking down on me? Watch out. Conqueror's Hockey Entanglement, Double King Flash. After hearing Newgate's words, Jon became extremely angry and instantly pulled out the two long knives from his waist. There was no temptation at all, it was a full blow from the very beginning. Armament Hockey. Conqueror's Hockey. As if they didn't want money, they frantically gathered towards the two long knives in Jon's hands. Advertisement, crackling. As a burst of lightning sounded, a large amount of black and red lightning burst out directly from his two long knives. Bump. The terrifying black-red lightning possesses terrifying power, and it just inadvertently swept aside the stone. The big stone immediately fell apart. Die to me. Following Jon's roar, two long knives crossed and struck rapidly in the direction of Newgate. So fast. Tsunade on the side was shocked when he saw this scene. This speed was much faster than Sengoku. If he fought with him, he might not even be able to touch Jon with his current strength. Goo la la la. Well done. Looking at the menacing Jon, Newgate didn't panic at all. Don't retreat but advance. The Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki on his body immediately rushed to his right arm. Crackling. As a burst of lightning sounded, a large amount of black lightning burst out from Newgate's right arm. Surprisingly, it's also Conqueror's Haki. 10 years ago, the two people were called supernovae at the same time, and they were both guys with terrifying potential. Today, 10 years later, both of them have already mastered Conqueror's Haki. Bump. The two people collided fiercely, and no one could do anything to the other. Hit from afar again. Tsunade stared at the location where the two collided, and found that the two still did not collide, but instead were in the center of their fists and swords. Because of the collision of Conqueror's Haki, a black energy ball was produced. Because of the collision between the two people, the energy ball suddenly kept emitting a large amount of thunder and lightning. Seeing this terrifying scene, Tsunade secretly wanted to learn Conqueror's entanglement as soon as possible. In this case, Dad can leave this level of battle to himself. And as the battle between Jon and Edward Newgate begins, the battle between the two pirate groups also completely kicked off. The number of subordinates on both sides is similar, about 40. But, except for Jon, there is no one with high-end combat power above the Vice Admiral level in the Jon Pirates. Advertisement after all, this era is different from the Great Pirate Era in the future, with a large number of pirates. You can always find the right partners and leaders. In this era, it is very difficult for a pirate group to successfully form and obtain suitable cadres. Even after so long, Captain Jon is well equipped with people in various positions. But the high-end combat power cannot keep up. Soon the balance of victory tilted towards Newgate. After all, Tsunade's strength is there, and he has power that is not inferior to that of Edward Newgate. Plus the skills for using chakra, strange power. Every attack of Tsunade is almost earth-shattering, and each time he can take away several members of the Jon Pirates. Jon, who was still in a stalemate with Newgate, suddenly felt bad secretly. After all, his strength is not much different from Newgate's. Edward Newgate though has more power and Conqueror's Haki. But, he has no weapons, and Jon has 2 weapons at the level of sharp knives in his hands. Therefore, the two of them fought equally, and it was impossible to determine the winner in a short period of time. But, his men were different. He was completely crushed in the fight with Tsunade. Although there are only more than 40 people, they're their own pirate team after all. It is not easy to form such a team. There is no way Jon would let them all die here. Boom. After another collision with Newgate, Jon took advantage of the force and directly distanced himself from Newgate. No hesitation. Retreat, retreat. Jon directly greeted his men and quickly left in the direction they came from. That's okay, Tsunade. Tsunade originally wanted to chase her, but Newgate stopped her immediately. After all, with Jon's strength, if he wanted to escape, he had no confidence in keeping him. There's no point in killing a few of his crew members. The main thing is, the purpose of his visit this time was to find Kong Yunchi, so there was absolutely no need to fight with Jon. After this little episode, Newgate and his party also quickly looked in the direction in his memory. Chapter 25 Kong Yunchi. Achievement. Come and hold the stick. Because the place where Newgate and Jon fought was in the middle of Death Canyon. So he quickly came to the place in his memory. This is a cave, right in the middle of Death Canyon. The entrance of the cave is not small, just enough for Newgate to pass through. Dad. Tsunade looked at the cave in front of him and asked with some confusion, is that supreme sharp sword really here? It's not that Tsunade doubts his father. But this is really outrageous. The supreme knife is different from devil fruit. Devil fruit is equally powerful though and very valuable. But, one drawback of devil fruit is that after it dies after being used, devil fruit will respawn in a random place. But the supreme knife is different. Even if the user dies, he can still pass it on to his descendants. However, now his father actually told him that such a valuable and supreme sharp knife could be found in this ordinary cave. This made Tsunade a little suspicious. Gu la la la. Yes, Kong Yunchi is indeed here. Upon hearing this, Newgate immediately laughed boldly. At the same time, he secretly thought, it seems that Tsunade is a little hard to believe, but he was also very shocked when he found Kong Yunchi in his previous life. Soon the group reached the innermost part of the cave, where there was a body about 7 meters tall. However, due to the erosion of time, it has long been turned into a skeleton. And leaning against the corner of the wall was a naginata of about 8 meters. Perhaps due to time, the naginata was covered with a thick layer of dust. From a distance, it looks like a broken knife. But the moment Newgate saw the broken knife, a flash of light flashed directly from his eyes. Dad, where is the supreme sharp knife you mentioned? Tsunade looked at everything in the cave and asked in confusion. Although Tsunade also saw the naginata, just because the naginata was thrown casually in the corner, Tsunade never thought that it was the supreme sword. Yes, Dad, where is the supreme sharp knife? I want to see it too. Marco also asked very curiously. Goo la la la. Didn't you already see it? It's the one in the corner. Seeing Marco and Tsunade's reactions, Newgate suddenly felt funny. After all, when he saw this naginata for the first time in his previous life, he never imagined that it turned out to be the supreme sword. Just because I also use a naginata, when I saw this knife, I picked it up and brushed it. The result was unexpected. This turned out to be a supremely sharp knife. What? How can it be? Advertisement. Quote. As soon as Newgate said these words, Marco, Tsunade, Sakura and his subordinates all screamed in surprise. Although they saw the knife in the corner as soon as they came in. But none of them connected that sword with the supreme sharp sword. After all, then a supremely sharp knife was placed casually in the corner, and no one took it away. This is really outrageous. Ah, Sigma. D. LLLL. Jinbei, who was half a beat too slow to react, finally came to his senses and looked at the knife in shock. That knife turned out to be a supremely fast knife. Your reaction is too slow. Tsunade complained as he looked at Jinbei. Hee. Looking at everyone's performance, Newgate didn't say anything, just chuckled, and walked up to Kong Yunchi. He immediately took it from Yunchi, and his aura suddenly shook. Buzz. The dust on Kong Yunchi's body was shaken away in an instant, revealing Kong Yunchi's true face. The handle of the knife showed red and black lines, and the huge 1-meter-long blade shone with a cold light. It was indeed a supremely sharp sword, just exposed to the air at will, after such a long time. It still looked like it was brand new from the factory, with a cold light flashing on the blade. Old man, are you okay? Newgate's eyes were full of memories. After all, Kong Yunchi had been with him for almost his whole life. Follow Newgate step by step from an ordinary pirate to the position of the strongest man in the world. Buzz. As if responding to Newgate, Kong Yunchi was slightly shaken. The famous sword has spirit. Newgate, who had owned Kong Yunchi in his previous life, naturally knew this. Kong Yunchi's reaction just now was obviously admitting his identity. Goo la la la. Newgate immediately picked up Kong Yunchi excitedly and started dancing with emotion. Each move is as fast as the wind and as powerful as thunder. Newgate's aura is also constantly rising. Wave. Suddenly, there was a sound like a bubble bursting, and Newgate felt that he had entered a new realm. This is a breakthrough. Goo la la la. Advertisement. Feeling the surging power in his body, Newgate couldn't help laughing. After all, after successfully entering the Admiral level, it is very, very difficult to increase your strength every little bit. You must know that Newgate has memories of his previous life, so after his rebirth, in order to increase his strength, he has been training all the time. In addition, his body has also been healed by Tsunade. I don't know how many times better my physical condition is than in my previous life. But, even so, Newgate's strength still did not advance half a point. However, today I just took back Kong Yunchi and made myself stronger. How could this make Newgate unhappy? Dad, have you become stronger again? Tsunade asked happily, feeling his father's domineering aura. Goo la la la. That's right. I finally became a little stronger again. Newgate said excitedly as he looked at his hands. That's great, Dad. You're getting stronger again. Marco also jumped up with excitement. No, I have to work harder. I have to become as strong as Dad in the future. Otherwise, I won't be able to protect Dad. Yeah. Seeing Marco's excited look, Tsunade smiled and said, but you'd better eat more now. After all, you are still a little winter melon. Sister. I'm not a short winter melon. Marco said angrily. Yeah, it's only up to my waist. Tsunade moved his hands between Marco's head and his waist. Elder sister. Marco became angry and quickly rushed towards Tsunade to beat her. But how could Tsunade let him hit him? He immediately laughed at Marco while running. Oh. You can't hit me. Marco. The little winter melon. Goo la la la. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. So funny. Quote. Suddenly everyone couldn't help laughing when they saw this scene. The purpose of coming to Death Canyon has been achieved, and Newgate and his party also began to walk in the direction of Moby DK. But, at this time, Newgate's attention was already focused on the system. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the achievement. Come and hold this stick. Do you want to claim the reward? Close double angle bracket. Chapter 26. Is this achievement serious? Quote. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Seeing the success of his system, Newgate was immediately filled with questions. Come and hold this stick. Newgate glanced at his lower body and then at the system achievements to make sure he saw it correctly. System, is your achievement serious? Newgate's whole body was numb. What the hell kind of achievement was this? It couldn't really be what I thought, could it? Ding. Please host. Please don't be too careless. Don't think crookedly. The system refers to the grip of Kong Yunchi. Close double angle bracket. Quote. Who said I was thinking wrongly? I was also thinking about Kong Yunchi's grip. Newgate also blushed a little when he heard this and said guiltily. You better be. Close double angle bracket. Quote. Quote. Somehow Newgate felt a deep sense of contempt coming from the system. Newgate shook his head and ignored the system's complaints, secretly saying in his heart, the system will collect the achievement reward. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the achievement. Come and hold this stick. Close double angle bracket. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining 8 inner gates. It has been put into the system warehouse. Close double angle bracket. 8 inner gates formation. Newgate looked at the system prompts and was suddenly confused. What is the system 8 inner gates formation? Ding. 8 inner gates formation is a technique that removes the limitations of the body and releases excess energy, eliciting one's own strength that is dozens of times stronger. However, while gaining strength, the caster himself will be damaged. So this technique is listed as one of the forbidden techniques. Close double angle bracket. The first door opens. Unlimits the brain area to achieve the purpose of exerting 100% of the body's ability. Overload consumes body energy to increase attack and speed. After opening, you can use external lotus. Close double angle bracket. Second gate. Lifts physical fatigue restrictions, overloads the body's energy to restore physical strength, and offsets the fatigue caused by the energy consumption rate of opening the door. Close double angle bracket. Third gate. The attack and speed are further increased, and the body begins to become congested and turn red. In the final safe zone of the 8 inner gates, the body begins to emit green energy. After opening it, you can use Lilianwa. Close double angle bracket. Advertisement. Fourth gate injury gate. Further increase attack and speed, the body begins to suffer damage, enters the danger zone of the 8 inner gates, and truly enters the 8 inner gates state. Close double angle bracket. Fifth gate Duman. The speed is enough to drive the air and lift the ground when moving. Close double angle bracket. Sixth gate Scenery gate. It allows you to enter a semi-open buffer state, which maintains the green energy emitted after opening the door but does not change the body to reduce your own consumption load and damage. When needed, you can instantly reach full combat power. Open. After opening it, you can use Chow Peacock. Close double angle bracket. Seventh gate. The last door before death. The body begins to emit blue vapor produced by the evaporation of sweat. After it is released, even a slight touch to the body will cause severe pain. Just one punch can severely damage the enemy. However, when it is released and turned on again, the pain will temporarily disappear and will not affect the battle. After turning it on, you can use Day Tiger. Close double angle bracket. 8 gate Death gate. The final gate that will lead to death after using it. When the 8th gate is fully opened, it is called 8 inner gates formation. The body begins to emit red vapor generated by the evaporation of blood, possessing power dozens of times greater than that of the 5 shadows. The power can be used to strike the air with a method similar to the air cannon to produce attacks or move in the air. It can be used continuously for a short period of time until death or consumes all the life force at once to release the energy wave generated by the prelude of the attack, which is enough to distort the space. It is lost after the end. Consciousness. The body is like a burned tree that has been carbonized and begins to collapse from the most severely damaged parts. After turning it on, you can use evening elephant and night guy. Close double angle bracket. Quote. System. Do you want me to die? Newgate looked at the introduction of 8 inner gates formation and suddenly felt very suspicious in his heart, whether the conscience of the system was greatly damaged. Ding. The system does not have this idea. Please host not to overinterpret. Close double angle bracket. Quote. Newgate was still a little skeptical after hearing this. 8 inner gates formation. To be honest, Newgate thinks it is very powerful. But that's for others. For Newgate, the 8 inner gates formation is awesome, but the load on the body is too high. Newgate's physical recovery ability itself does not match his own strength. This will often cause hidden wounds on your body. Although the 8 inner gates are powerful, the stronger the person, the greater the burden on the body after using the 8 inner gates formation. Others may die after using the 8th gate. But for Newgate, Newgate's body may not be able to support it after using the 4th or 5th gate. After all, Newgate itself is too strong. But advertisement. The body's ability to recover is very good. My strength is enough in the world of pirates. Don't use this trick in the future unless necessary. Newgate secretly thought in his heart, but when he turned to look at Marco, he suddenly had an idea in his mind. But Marco. This guy is quite suitable. If he eats the phoenix fruit in the future, 8 if the inner gates formation is given to him, it would be a perfect match. Forget it. Let's talk about it later. Newgate shook his head. The system uses 8 inner gates formation. Although the 8 inner gates formation is very dangerous for Newgate, it is indeed very powerful. So Newgate decided to learn it first and then talk about it. After all, if you use this well, it will be your trump card in the future. Ding. 8 inner gates formation was used successfully. Close double angle bracket. Following the sound of the system, falling Newgate found that a stream of knowledge was also pouring into his mind. Then he could vaguely feel the 8 gates in his body. Are these the 8 gates? Newgate muttered secretly, and then a wave of armament hockey rushed towards the first door in his mind, trying to open it. Wave. Suddenly, Newgate seemed to hear the sound of a bubble bursting, and then he felt as if his mind had been let go. He was extremely relaxed, and he could control his body at will. The only drawback was that his physical strength was exhausted too quickly. As this the lifting of brain restrictions to achieve 100% of physical capabilities. Feeling the energy in his body, Newgate was also a little stunned, because after the physical restrictions were lifted, he clearly felt that his strength had increased by 30%. Don't think that 30% is not much. You must know that after entering the Admiral level, it will be difficult to reach the sky without improving your strength at all. And Newgate's strength increased by 30% just by opening the first gate of 8 inner gates. This is not bad. Newgate just felt the power of the 8 inner gates and immediately closed it. After all, if he opened the next gate further, the burden on Newgate's body would be too great, and the gain would not be worth the loss. System. Open my properties panel. Chapter 27 Strength Improvement. That man. Name. Edward Newgate. Age. 32 years old. Potential. S+. Power. S+ rank. Speed. S+ class. Energy. S+ level. Body level. S. Combat techniques. Top Conqueror's Haki Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation. Ability. None. Evaluation. This guy is terrifyingly powerful, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes being a father. Close double angle bracket. My strength has become much stronger, but my physical level has not improved at all. Seeing that his strength has been improved to the current limit, but his physical level has not improved at all, Newgate also pondered secretly in his heart. With the 8 inner gates formation, I should be able to exert a martial level combat power. But, looking at his physical level that still hadn't improved at all, he thought to himself, but I guess I will be seriously injured and die if I'm not careful after the war. I don't know when I will get some rewards that enhance my body's vitality. If there was something that could enhance the body's vitality or recovery ability, Newgate's combat effectiveness would increase almost exponentially. Don't say anything else. Just say 8 inner gates formation. If Newgate doesn't say it can open to the last gate, but only says it can open to the 7th gate, then with Newgate's strength, it can probably walk sideways on the sea. Soon the group returned to the Moby DK. Pirates. It is a group of unrestrained existences. And he likes to hold banquets very much. In order to celebrate Newgate's acquisition of the supreme sharp knife and the improvement of Newgate's strength. As soon as they returned to the Moby DK, the party started non-stop. But this made Newgate greedy. You must know that he was banned by Tsunade and now he cannot drink any alcohol. Lord Newgate. Oh my, this wine tastes so good. That's right. After all, Newgate is usually very easy to get along with, so the gangsters of the pirate group also joke with Newgate. Ha ha ha, I don't believe it. It's obviously horse urine. Although Newgate said this, he was swallowing saliva in dissatisfaction. Ha 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 ha, ha ha. Advertisement. The surrounding pirates all laughed when they saw this scene. Gouda, I'm so angry. Opening parenthesis question mark. Circled dot operator coup. Sean. Listening to the laughter around him, Newgate also poured a mouthful of milk into his mouth angrily, and then ignored everyone. But at this time, quote exclamation mark quote. Call. A terrifying momentum suddenly swept over from the sea to the left of Moby DK like a tsunami. This is not Conqueror's hockey, it's just the residual power of his own terrifying aura that he inadvertently exudes. This aura was all too familiar to Newgate, the feeling of a towering giant looking down at ants. Even if Newgate's current strength has reached the peak level of Admiral. But, in front of this momentum, I still feel like an ant. Correct. That's the man. Newgate looked in the direction of the momentum with some solemnity. The pirates who were still drinking stopped instantly, drew out their long swords, and became nervous and alert. This momentum is really terrifying. Although the pirates' momentum was not directed at the pirate minions. But, just the residual power caused their limbs to tremble, and even Newgate's aura seemed like that of a child compared to this aura. Daddy. Tsunade's body also tensed up instantly, and he suddenly sobered up from being already tipsy. Looks like a scary guy is here. Sakura also subconsciously entered a blackened state in an instant. After all, this aura was too terrifying. Dad. Although Marco and Jinbei were scared, even though they were like ants in front of this momentum, they still stood by Newgate's side with firm eyes. Don't worry. Newgate calmed the emotions of several people, and then said slowly, it's probably not here to fight. If he is here to fight, he has a chance to sneak attack while we are having a banquet. Call. Hearing this, Tsunade, Sakura and others also let out a deep breath. Indeed, Newgate was right. If the opponent had come to fight, he would have taken action long ago. However, the muscles in his body were still tense and he did not dare to let down his guard at all. Advertisement. Captain, are you finally going to take action? Newgate actually admires Rocks very much in his heart. After all, he is very powerful and treats his crew members very generously. You must know that the people who got out of the Rocks ship will eventually become a great person as long as they are still alive. First of all, these people are powerful. But, the most fundamental reason is that Rocks are generous, whether it is devil fruit or gold and silver treasures. Rocks will be distributed to his subordinates without hesitation. In my previous life, I also joined the Rocks pirate. Rocks not only gave me a lot of treasures, but also a lot of good devil fruit. Even Marco's phoenix fruit was given to him by Rocks. It was because of these devil fruit and gold and silver treasures that he allowed himself to form his own Whitebeard pirates in the future after the Rocks pirate was disbanded. And, looking back at Golden Lion Shiki, Kaido of the Beasts, and Charlotte Linlin, they also received a lot of resources from Rocks pirate. In the end, he became a great person. Chicken ha 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 ha. Buzz. Newgate thought to himself, and suddenly a violent conqueror's haki swept directly towards the Moby DK. Plop. Plop. The pirate minions on the Moby DK fell to the ground one by one. Such a terrifying conqueror's haki would not be able to sustain it without Vice Admiral level strength. Although Marco and Jinbei are unwilling to accept it, but the moment he came into contact with Conqueror's haki, he fell to the ground. Just for a moment. There were only 3 people left on the huge Moby DK who could still stand. They are Edward Newgate, Edward Tsunade and the darkened Edward Sakura. However, Tsunade and Sakura's strength is just Admiral level. Although they can still stay awake, their strength is not the same. Even the powerful Edward Newgate, who has reached the peak of Admiral level, can only hold his own steady under the pressure of Conqueror's haki. Laughter appeared. A tall figure also appeared in Edward Newgate's eyes. He was about 3 meters tall, with bulging muscles that shone fiercely like steel. He was wearing a captain's cape and had black hair like a hedgehog. This man is clearly the strongest man in the world, and also the most evil person in the world. Rox D. Zebek. Chapter 28. I have an idea. Let's do it together. Buzz. Feeling the pressure brought by the terrifying Conqueror's haki on him, Newgate, although not as strong as Rox, still released his own Conqueror's haki without any sign of weakness. Crackling. The 2 Conqueror's haki collided together instantly, constantly rubbing and colliding, and countless black lightning flashed continuously. Chicken ha 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 ha. Edward Newgate is indeed a supernova, not bad. After speaking, Rox also took back his Conqueror's haki. Goo la la la. The world's strongest man Rox. Newgate was not afraid at all and laughed boldly. Rox looked at Tsunade and Sakura beside Newgate and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. After all, the only 2 Newgate pirates known to the outside world, Newgate and Tsunade, are Admiral class. But the little girl next to Newgate now has a strange aura. But he feels like an Admiral level strongman. It seems that Newgate is also a very special person. He has 3 Admiral level pirate groups. If others don't know, they will probably suffer from them. Rox also said secretly in his heart. Rox. Newgate looked at Rox's eyes and couldn't help but think about it. After all, in his previous life, he was the only one in the pirate group with Admiral level strength. But now it's completely different. He still has Tsunade and Sakura under his command. In this way, you can gain more say for yourself after joining Rox Pirate. The strongest man in the world. I wonder what kind of wind blew you here. Newgate looked at Rox and asked. Although he already knew Rox's purpose, he still had to pretend. Chicken ha 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 ha. Hearing this, Rox also laughed boldly. I have an idea. Let's do it together, etc. Before Rox finished speaking, Newgate immediately stopped him. He looked at Rox with some fear, covered his chest with one hand and his butt with the other, and said with a wary look. What I like is women, not gay. At the same time, Newgate secretly thought, why didn't Captain Rox have this habit in his previous life? But now thinking about it, Jon seems to have always been very close to the captain. Even after Rox died, he was still guarding Beehive Island. It's scary to think about it. Newgate grew more frightened as he thought about it. Advertisement. Chicken ha 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 ha. Rox was stunned for a moment when he heard this, but then he laughed. You are so funny, don't worry, Lousy also likes women. Call. Hearing this, Newgate also let out a deep breath and felt relieved. I have an idea. Let's start a business together. Rox said looking at Newgate. What business? How much money can I make? Newgate also said with interest after hearing this. Then it depends on your ability. There are many capable people here. Rox looked at Newgate deeply and said meaningfully. Ability. Goo la la la. Newgate muttered something when he heard this, and then shouted softly. 8 inner gates formation gate 5 Duman opens. As Newgate's voice fell, Newgate's skin turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his body immediately emitted a burst of green light. Then a violent aura also emanated from Newgate's body. Peak martial level. The momentum came and went quickly. It only took a few seconds for Newgate to close the 8 inner gates immediately. Dad. Tsunade on the side frowned when she saw this scene. She knew about the 8 inner gates, although it could explode with powerful power. But, at the same time, the burden on the body is also huge. Dad's health was originally not good, but now he still uses such abilities. I also thought secretly in my heart, I must restrict Dad from using this ability in the future. Newgate had no idea what Tsunade was thinking, and he was secretly glad at this time. Fortunately, it didn't take long for 8 inner gates to be turned on. It was only turned on for a few seconds. Now the muscles in the body have already started to be acidic. It was like experiencing a fierce battle. If it had been open for longer, Newgate would have felt that he would be dragged across without anyone else taking action. But naturally it cannot be shown on the bright side. Newgate pretended to be relaxed and said, "Gu la la la. I wonder how much money I can make from this." Rox was once again shocked by Newgate, and his eyes became more serious when he looked at Newgate. Originally, he read the newspaper and knew that there were 2 Admiral-class ships on Newgate's ship, so he immediately came over and planned to recruit them. Who would have expected that upon arrival, he would realize that there were actually 3 Admiral level 1s instead of 2. It was originally thought that Newgate would only have Admiral level peak strength at best. But, advertisement. The momentum that Newgate burst out just now, although it only lasted a few seconds. But, Rox also clearly felt the instant improvement in Newgate's strength. Peak martial level. Although I don't know what Newgate did, at that moment, Newgate's strength instantly soared to the peak level of martial. Rox can be sure that this is the strongest person he has seen in this world besides himself. Chicken ha ha ha. At least tens of billions of gains. Is this enough? But for Rox, the stronger the person he wants to get on board, the better. After all, for his own plan. Goo la la la. Okay. I agree. When Newgate heard this, he immediately agreed. After all, the minimum income Rox promised him in his previous life was 10 billion belly. Although his final income is definitely more than this amount. But I didn't expect that Rox would agree to give him so much now. Is it really because the strength he has shown has attracted his attention? Newgate thought to himself. Chicken ha ha ha. Okay. We will gather at New World Beehive Island on January 15th next year. Join my pirate group at that time, and let's turn this world upside down. After saying that, Rox jumped off the Moby DK. Then we rowed a small boat and slowly sailed towards the next destination. Newgate was also lost in thought as he watched Rox leave. But the next moment, Daddy. A cold murderous intention emerged from Newgate's side. Tsunade. What's wrong? Newgate said with a guilty conscience. After all, 8 inner gates came from Tsunade's world, so Newgate also knew that Tsunade knew about 8 inner gates. That one just now was the 8 inner gates formation, right? Tsunade said faintly with a cold light all over his body. Yes. Yeah. What's wrong? The weather is really nice today. Newgate wanted to change the subject. That puts a huge burden on the body, don't you know? With Dad's body's recovery ability, it might shorten his lifespan. Tsunade said angrily. Well enough. Newgate wanted to quibble, but Tsunade naturally wouldn't give him a chance. Without any explanation, he pressed Newgate to the ground and started careful examination and treatment. Newgate, who was lying on the ground and being examined by Tsunade, was also deep in thought. Chapter 29 Black Gold Island. Indeed, as Tsunade said, although 8 inner gates are powerful, they are really not suitable for me to use. But if you want to have more say in Rox Pirate, then you need to show matching strength. Since the 8 inner gates formation cannot be used, then one can only improve one's hard power. But, after this period of training, I have fully developed my potential. The only way to improve your strength right now is devil fruit. Eating devil fruit becomes demon fruit power, which will increase the user's potential. But what Newgate actually wants most is shock fruit. After all, he has experience in developing shock fruit in his previous life. After using shock fruit, you can improve your strength in the shortest time. And the most important thing is that he can't find other powerful devil fruit in a short time. But when he thought about shock fruit's whereabouts, Newgate had a headache. Because in the previous life, a year later, when I joined Rox Pirate, I passed through a black market island and obtained it at an auction. But, now, I don't know where that devil fruit is gathering dust yet. Okay, daddy. After a very long period of treatment, Tsunade also fell into exhaustion. Although my own cheap daddy is only turned on, the 8 inner gates formation only takes a few seconds. But he couldn't resist that his father was powerful but his physical level was not good enough, which resulted in the difference between his father's real strength and his body by 2 levels. After using 8 inner gates formation, the difference between physical level and strength level reached 5 levels in an instant. That's why it puts such a heavy burden on the body. I also spent a lot of effort to adjust my father's exhausted cells. Goo la la la. Newgate stood up happily after hearing this. Indeed, after Tsunade's treatment, his body immediately became very relaxed. Thanks for your hard work, Tsunade. But as soon as he saw Tsunade's tired look, Newgate immediately spoke. I'm the dad I should be. Hearing this, Tsunade also shook his head, but Tsunade looked serious and said instantly, Dad. Your body can't bear the 8 inner gates formation. It's best not to use it in the future unless necessary, and even if it is used, it is not allowed to go beyond the 4th gate. Quote. I see. Newgate also knew that after just opening the 5th gate for a few seconds, he could no longer bear it. If it were really used for fighting, it would probably be even worse. Advertisement. Woo. What happened? Quote. Quote. At this time, the pirates who had been unconscious for a long time, as well as Marco and Jinbei, also woke up one after another. Lord Newgate, are you okay? There was a pirate who saw Newgate and immediately came over nervously to ask. It's okay. If the brothers are all awake, let Yong Fan set sail. We will go to Black Gold Island next. Black Gold Island is the black market island where the shock fruit auction was held in the previous life. There is no other news from Newgate yet, and they don't know where shock fruit is. So Newgate planned to go to Black Gold Island to try his luck, maybe he would be able to find shock fruit. Yes. Although the pirate gangster doesn't know why Newgate went to Black Gold Island, since his captain has given the order, he just needs to carry it out. Quote. After all, I had doubted why Lord Newgate came to Death Canyon before. But I didn't expect that there would be a supreme sharp knife in Death Canyon. And now that Lord Newgate is going to Black Gold Island, there may be some treasure there. Thinking about it, the speed of the pirate's hands is also a bit faster. It is worth mentioning that Black Gold Island is a private island belonging to a certain first emperor of the New World. There are not only ordinary products for sale on Black Gold Island, but also some black industries. Such as an auction, devil fruit deal, bounties on heads, and the slave trade. Therefore, there are often a large number of pirates or powerful people gathering on Black Gold Island. But not many people are making trouble on Black Gold Island. Of course it's not because the pirates follow the rules, but because of fear of death. After all, there are a lot of high-value things on black market islands like Black Gold Island. Don't say anything else. A good devil fruit is worth about 2 billion Baileys. So in this case, it will attract countless people to snatch it. Therefore, in order to protect the black market island, the lower emperors would place powerful people on the black market island to ensure the safety of the black market island. Especially on a large black market island like Black Gold Island, the underground emperor even deployed an admiral level and 2 vice admiral level experts on Black Gold Island. Advertisement. There was a person who didn't care about his life before. He actually dared to take things by force on Black Gold Island, and was eventually beaten into pieces by that admiral. After that, few blind people would dare to do this. 2 days later, there is a gentle breeze, and the soft sunshine slants on the calm sea. At this time, the Moby DK was speeding through the waves. 2 days have passed since I met Rox. In order to quickly increase his strength, Newgate plans to go to Black Gold Island to find the whereabouts of shock fruit. At Tsunade's request, Newgate was lying quietly on the deck and basking in the sun. Because my own strength has reached its limit, no matter how hard I train, I can't make any progress. So Newgate readily accepted Tsunade's arrangement. Buzz. Suddenly, the slightly immature Conqueror's Hockey was uploaded from the Moby DK. This is Tsunade. Newgate felt the immature Conqueror's Hockey, and his heart suddenly fluctuated. But when I think about Tsunade's identity as Hokage in his previous life, it's almost the same as being a king. Therefore, it is not surprising that Tsunade has the qualifications of a king and can successfully awaken Conqueror's Haki. Gu la la la. Tsunade, you have awakened Conqueror's Haki. Newgate said excitedly. Yeah, but it's not enough. Tsunade did not show too much excitement, but said solemnly, Dad, your body is not suitable for fighting. In order to let you live longer, I have to become stronger quickly. Gu la la la. Tsunade, you are already very strong. You are only 18 years old and you have admiral level strength. Isn't that strong? Newgate said with some emotion. Not enough. After all, Dad, your opponent is so terrifying. Tsunade thought about the man from 2 days ago, Rox D. Zebek, and his body couldn't help but tremble. That guy is different. Looking at Tsunade's appearance, Newgate also knew in his heart that Tsunade had already regarded that man as his target. If it doesn't work, hurry up and train. After saying that, Tsunade stopped paying attention to Newgate and started training non-stop. Newgate could only helplessly shake his head. But thinking about Tsunade's terrifying physical level, I suddenly no longer worried. Look, Black Gold Island is here. Chapter 30 The Whereabouts of Shock Fruit. Suddenly someone shouted. Looking in the direction of the sound, an island about the size of a town appeared in everyone's sight. From the appearance, the Black Gold Island is no different from an ordinary island. But, in fact, this is a black market island for human trafficking and various black trades. Soon, the Moby DK docked at the port of Black Gold Island. Newgate took Tsunade, Sakura, Marco, Jinbei and 4 pirates and set foot on the land of Black Gold Island. Look, that is, quote. With the appearance of Newgate and Tsunade, the pirates on Black Gold Island immediately discovered their traces. Suddenly he couldn't help but exclaimed, that crescent-shaped Whitebeard. It's Edward Newgate. And the woman next to him, isn't she Edward Tsunade? How could such a scary guy appear here? Edward Newgate and Tsunade are not unknowns now. But he is a great pirate who is already famous in the sea. You must know that there are 2 admiral-level beings in a pirate group at the same time. This is the only existence in the current ocean. So naturally many people remember the appearance of Newgate and Tsunade. So much so that as soon as they appeared on Black Gold Island, they were immediately recognized. Newgate had long been accustomed to the feeling of being watched. After all, he became the strongest man in the world in his previous life. At that time, wherever he went, the sensation he caused was much stronger than it is now. Soon the group arrived in front of the auction house that Newgate remembered. It is worth mentioning that, although the main turnover of the auction house is conducting auctions, but, in fact, there will also be many windows in the auction house for selling goods. After all, it is naturally impossible for such a large auction house to make money from auctions alone. Soon I came to the counter dedicated to selling devil fruit. Lord Newgate, welcome. What kind of devil fruit do you want? Advertisement. As soon as he saw Newgate's figure, a beautiful saleswoman immediately came up to him. I have to say that the owner of this auction house does a really good job, and all service staff have been carefully trained. Although they had never left Black Gold Island, the salesperson immediately recognized Newgate as soon as he appeared. Is there any shock fruit? Newgate said directly. Shock fruit. We don't have one, but we have an ancient species here that is stronger than shock fruit, the velociraptor fruit. I don't know if Mr. Newgate is interested. The beautiful saleswoman immediately shook her head when she heard this, and then recommended the velociraptor fruit to Newgate. To be honest, shock fruit is really the top devil fruit because of Newgate. Before Newgate, shock fruit was just regarded as an ordinary devil fruit. After all, the previous shock fruit ability users could only perform some simple shock attacks. Not only is it powerful, it also leaves hidden wounds on one's body. All devil fruit has always been regarded as a very tasteless devil fruit. Forget it then. Newgate was a little disappointed when he heard this and said that although the velociraptor fruit grown in ancient times is also good, what he wants most is the shock fruit. But, seeing Newgate's disappointed look, the beautiful saleswoman immediately said, although we don't have shock fruit here, I know the whereabouts of shock fruit. It's just. The beautiful saleswoman did not continue talking, but looked at Newgate with a half smile. Newgate also understood instantly. He took out 100 million Baileys from behind and threw it in front of the beautiful saleswoman and said, "Can you tell me now? But if you try to lie to me, you will be miserable." Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Don't dare. Don't dare. Lord Newgate, shock fruit, is in the hands of the manager of the slave shop on Black Gold Island. Feeling the cold air radiating from Newgate's body, the beautiful saleswoman suddenly broke out in cold sweat. I was secretly cursing myself for being too reckless. After all, the man in front of me was Edward Newgate, a great pirate who killed without blinking an eye. If he's unhappy, he'll be doomed. However, Newgate did not make things difficult for her. He just spent 100 million belly to get the whereabouts of shock fruit. He felt it was very worthwhile. Without further ado, Newgate immediately led everyone out of the auction door. Call. Watching Newgate leave, the beautiful saleswoman also let out a deep breath. Unknowingly, her back was soaked with sweat. But the next moment her eyes fell on the bag containing 100 million belly. A surge of ecstasy instantly surged into her heart. Advertisement. Get rich, get rich. Although she had to pay 30% of the 100 million belly to the auction house, she ended up with 70 million belly in her hands, which she could never earn in her lifetime. And the other side. After Newgate learned the whereabouts of shock fruit, he rushed towards the slave shop without stopping. Soon Newgate and his party were standing at the door of the slave shop. The store manager, who was still drinking tea comfortably in the store, suddenly felt as if he was seeing a big fish when he saw Newgate's appearance. Quickly rushed to Newgate. Lord Newgate. Welcome to the shop. It has to be said that no one who can open a shop on the Black Market Island is a simple one. The beautiful saleswoman just now is now the manager of the slave shop. They all recognized Newgate instantly. I won't talk nonsense to you. I heard you have shock fruit. Newgate said straightforwardly. Shock fruit. That's right. Do you want to buy it? The store manager was stunned when he heard this, but then he became ecstatic. You must know that he bought this devil fruit to enhance his strength. But when I bought it, I didn't know it was shock fruit. Later, I checked the devil fruit illustrated book and found out it was shock fruit. He immediately regretted it. After all, shock fruit's attack power is average, and it can strengthen the body like zone fruit. The most important thing is that this devil fruit has too many flaws. Every time you use it, it will leave you with hidden injuries and even shorten your life. As a result, he kept holding it in his hands and could not sell it. Newgate nodded and said, how much do you want to bid? Seeing Newgate's generous appearance, the store manager also suppressed his excitement and did not offer a price for a while. His eyes were rolling, not knowing what he was thinking about. Newgate looked up and down at the slave shop in boredom. Sudden. In a cage in the corner, a familiar figure caught Newgate's eyes. It's him. Why is he here? Newgate was full of doubts. Chapter 31 Josie. I saw a child about 1.5 meters tall huddled in the corner. However, the body proportions of this child are extremely strange. The body is huge, but the head is relatively small, and he has a horse face with baby fat. Josie. Newgate also exclaimed in surprise when he saw this figure. Although in terms of age, Josie is only about 4 years old now. But, Newgate still recognized him immediately. Why is Josie here? Newgate looked at Josie in the corner and was full of doubts in his heart. I never heard that Josie was a slave in his previous life. Because it was several years later when Newgate met Josie in his previous life. So Newgate didn't know much about Josie's childhood experience. Although I really want to release Josie now. But Newgate could hold back his excitement. The look he looked at the store manager also became meaningful. Suddenly, Newgate and the store manager began to play games with their own agendas. Lord Newgate, you also know that shock fruit is so powerful that if it is developed to the ultimate level, it can even cause global earthquakes. Look at the price. The manager of the slave shop rubbed his hands and said shrewdly. Upon hearing this, Newgate looked at the slave shop manager with a slightly colder look. Although he has a bold personality, he doesn't particularly care about money. But, he is not a fool. The price of shock fruit at this time is actually lower than that of ordinary devil fruit. After all, the attack power is not very good, and it also has very serious side effects. Bump. Newgate slammed Kong Yunchi onto the floor, causing a violent collision. He said in a cold tone, "Are you having trouble with the price? As far as I know, shock fruit's attack power is not very good, and it also has very serious side effects. How many Baileys do you want to sell?" Quote exclamation mark quote. Feeling the killing intent on Newgate's body, the manager of the slave shop couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. No, no, no. The store manager shook his head quickly. I just want to say that shock fruit only needs 100 million Baileys because of its weak attack power and shortcomings. 100 million belly. When Newgate heard this, he looked at the store manager up and down with cold eyes. Quote exclamation mark quote. The store manager was being glanced at by Newgate, and his body couldn't help but tremble. He was very worried that Newgate would take advantage of him and kill him directly. Can. Newgate said. Call. Hearing this, the store manager also breathed a sigh of relief, although the price didn't satisfy him particularly. But, at least I finally got rid of this devil fruit. Advertisement. But, Newgate's sudden change of subject suddenly made the store manager feel relieved again. I'm taking that slave away. Newgate pointed to Josie in the corner. Uh-huh. The store manager looked in the direction of Newgate's finger and saw that he was just an ordinary male slave. Immediately he breathed a sigh of relief. Be aware that male slaves are generally cheaper than female slaves. An average female slave with a good face usually costs around 700,000 belly. Ordinary male slaves are cheaper and only cost about 500,000 belly. And, the most important thing is that the slave Newgate pointed to was captured by his slave catching team themselves. So the cost is very cheap. Thinking of this, the store manager said without hesitation, no problem, no problem. Would you like me to send this slave to your ship? The store manager said respectfully. No need. Just let him out. Newgate said, shaking his head. After Newgate paid the money, a devil fruit that looked like a gourd and little Josie were soon brought to Newgate. At this time, little Josie was standing in front of Newgate very nervously. I was also very uneasy. Although I was only 4 years old, I already knew that I was becoming a slave. If it is sold to a bad owner, it will end badly. What's your name, boy? Newgate looked at Josie's panic and said softly. Josie. Josie said nervously. Goo la la la. Josie. Do you want to be my son? Quote. Hearing this, Josie was also stunned. He was struck by Newgate's words. He looked at Newgate with some confusion. But after seeing Newgate's gentle eyes, he immediately happily replied, I do. Goo la la la. From now on, I have another son. From now on, your name will be Edward Josie. Newgate also said excitedly after hearing this. Ding. Congratulations to host for getting his third son. Do you want to get your third daughter? Close double angle bracket. Just when Joes agreed, a prompt sounded in Newgate's mind. No. Newgate said to Marco secretly. Marco, Josie will be taken care of by you from now on. After all, Josie is too young, so letting Marco take him can take better care of him. Advertisement. Yes, Dad. When Marco heard this, he agreed without hesitation. Soon the group returned to the Moby DK. With Marco's help, little Josie also became familiar with Tsunade and the others. The little guy is also very favored because he is the youngest. Especially Jinbei, when he found out that Josie became his younger brother. She often takes care of him every step of the way. And back here in Newgate. In Newgate's room. System. Open Chowsie's property panel. Name. Edward Yoja. Age. 4 years old. Potential. A. Power. G class. Speed. G class. Energy. G class. Body grade. G. Combat skills. None. Ability. None. Evaluation. An honest guy with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. Looking at Josie's attribute panel, Newgate was not surprised at all. After all, his squad leaders all have vice admiral level strength. So potential can never be lower than A-. But Newgate fell into deep thought at this time. He still has 2 potential enhancing potions and a diamond fruit in his hand. Both of these could improve Josie's potential. He was considering whether to use the potential boosting potion or the devil fruit on Josie first. Of course, if you want to increase Josie's potential as much as possible, you would naturally use the potential enhancing potion first, and then let Josie eat the devil fruit. But potential enhancing potions are too rare. If Josie is given only the diamond fruit, Josie can still have admiral level potential. Newgate wanted to keep the potential enhancing potion. But Newgate couldn't be sure. After all, Josie never broke through to the admiral level in his previous life. In the end, Newgate made up his mind and gave Josie a potential enhancing potion, and then let him eat the diamond fruit. After thinking about it, Newgate stopped thinking too much and took out the shock fruit and placed it in front of him. Chapter 32 Increased Potential. The Third Daughter. Shock Fruit. This was the devil fruit ability from his previous life, and now it was finally in front of him again. No longer hesitate. Newgate threw the shock fruit directly into his mouth and swallowed it without chewing. After all, the taste of devil fruit is indeed not particularly good, although it was the last time I ate devil fruit. But Newgate still remembers the smell. So this time Newgate learned the lesson and swallowed the shock fruit directly as a magic little pill. For his ultimate, Newgate also secretly gave himself a thumbs up. But unfortunately, Newgate thought that if he didn't bite the devil fruit, he wouldn't taste the disgusting taste that penetrated his soul. But as shock fruit entered Newgate's stomach, a very disgusting smell suddenly hit Newgate's soul. The smile on Newgate's face suddenly stopped. Nausea. Want to vomit. Although the devil fruit was not tasted on the palate, Newgate still experienced the feeling. In fact, what Newgate didn't know was that disgusting taste is not caused by the taste, but the physical reaction caused by devil fruit transforming the body of the eater. So, whether he eats it directly or swallows it, the end result is the same. The nauseating feeling only lasted a few minutes and then disappeared. Newgate seemed to feel something too. He raised his fist and thought. Suddenly a white ball of light appeared on Newgate's fist. Goo la la la. It feels so familiar. Newgate nodded with satisfaction, then dissipated shock fruit's ability, and secretly said in his heart, "The system opens my property panel." Advertisement. Name: Edward Newgate. Age: 32 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: S+. Rank: Speed: S+. Class: Energy: S+ level. Body level: S. Combat techniques: Top Conqueror's Haki Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation. Ability: Shock Fruit. Evaluation: This guy is terrifyingly powerful, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes being a father. Close double angle bracket. Is it really the Marshal's peak potential? Newgate looked at his property panel and smiled as expected. After all, when he was at his peak in his previous life, he indeed had the strength of a Marshal at the peak level. The only drawback is that the body's recovery ability is not good. As a result, I have been unable to fight in the best physical condition. Even in his later years, he still had to rely on potions every day to survive. There are still a few months before we go to Beehive Island. We must improve our strength as soon as possible. Try to break through to the Marshal level. Newgate thought to himself. And if you break through to the Marshal level, you don't need to open the 5th gate of the 8 inner gates. You can still have the peak Marshal level strength by opening the 4th gate. With his physical level, he would not be able to sustain it if he opened the 5th gate of the 8 inner gates formation. But if you only open the 4th gate, there will be absolutely no problem. Although it will be harmful to the body over time. But at least I can persevere and have fighting ability. Thinking of this, Newgate also secretly decided that he must work hard to become stronger. And then Newgate secretly said in his heart, the system will start extracting the third daughter. Ding! Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we will begin to draw the unfortunate people in the world. Please wait while the draw is in progress. As the sound of the system fell, a translucent screen also appeared in front of Newgate's eyes. I saw two little girls with black hair wandering on the street. The scene turned and the two were bought by men in armor to join a special organization. Advertisement. Later, for unknown reasons, the girl with black pupils was taken away, leaving only the girl with red pupils. But nothing unfortunate happened next. The girl with red pupils began to train seriously in the organization. Even when training in a certain village later, the girl with red pupils even formed a deep friendship with a female shopkeeper. Seeing this scene, Newgate nodded happily and said, "It seems like he's just an ordinary orphan." That's great. But when he said this, Newgate himself was stunned, as if he breathed a sigh of relief every time. Daughters on the screen will begin to encounter such unfortunate things. Really? Suddenly one day the girl with red pupils received an assassination mission. What she didn't expect was that the target she wanted to assassinate was the female shopkeeper who had been her best friend for a year. The girl did not believe that the female shopkeeper was a so-called spy at first, so she made a tentative inquiry. After the female shopkeeper denied it, she suddenly attacked her, and the girl was forced to fight back. Finally, the female shopkeeper still fell in a pool of blood. The girl with red pupils looked at her knife and then at the female shopkeeper in the pool of blood. The girl was extremely sad. Alas, you killed your only friend with your own hands. How sad you must be. Newgate looked at the sad girl on the screen and said with distress. The picture kept changing. The girl with red pupils performed well in that assassination mission, so the organization began to assign a large number of tasks to her. During the mission, she also learned that she was actually serving the Empire, and the enemies she assassinated were members of the Revolutionary Army. After killing countless people, the girl also discovered the darkness of the Empire and finally chose to join the Revolutionary Army. In the Revolutionary Army, she was still on an assassination mission, but the difference was that this time the target became a sinful person. But during a mission, she discovered that her sister, the girl with black eyes, was still alive. When they met again, the two changed from relatives to enemies. However, as if fate was joking, the girl with red pupils killed her friend with her own hands. However, the meeting with her sister again turned out to be the last time, and her sister eventually died in her arms. She killed her sister with her own hands. What a poor little guy. Your heart must be broken. Newgate shook his head helplessly. There was nothing he could do about what had happened. The picture continues to change. After her sister was killed by her own hands, nothing would make her sad again. All she wanted to do was to liberate the world from the hands of the Empire. In the end, she successfully defeated the strongest enemy and overthrew the Dark Empire. The picture ends here. A girl hidden in the darkness, holding a long knife, appears in the center of the picture. Her red pupils seem to contain endless killing intent, and underneath is her name. Quote. Chapter 33 Red Eyes. Josie's promotion. Red eyes. Red eyes. Is it really suitable for you? Thinking back on Chitong's life in his mind, Newgate couldn't calm down for a long time. Every child obtained from the system is very unfortunate. Tsunade is suffering from the death of a loved one. Sakura has been tortured since she was a child. But now Chitong has lived his whole life in killing, and he has lived his whole life for others. You should live for yourself in this life. Newgate thought to himself. Ding. The red pupil was successfully extracted. Now let's use host's genes to shape her body. Please wait. As the system beeped, a shadow appeared in front of Newgate, and it gradually became solid as time went by. Finally, 5 minutes later, the figure completely solidified. I saw a girl with waist-length hair standing in front of Newgate. Are you my dad? The moment Chitong regained consciousness, she spotted Newgate beside her. Murderous intent flashed across her eyes, and then she remembered the information in her mind. She quickly restrained her murderous intent and asked doubtfully. Gula la la la. What a terrifying murderous intention. Although it was only a moment, but Newgate still felt the murderous intent that was almost solidified in Kai Tong. Yes, I am your father. Edward Newgate. Newgate said with a smile. So strong. Kai Tong looked at Newgate with solemn eyes. Bump. Newgate felt Kai Tong's eyes and suddenly punched her hard on the head. What are you thinking? Isn't your murderous intention too obvious? You actually want to take action against Dad. It hurts. Shatong covered her head in grievance and said in grievance. I just thought about it for a little while. I can't even think about it. Newgate Hockey said. Dad, are you too domineering? Shatong couldn't help but complain when she looked at Newgate. I don't know if it was because of the Newgate gene, but even Shatong himself didn't notice that he was slowly becoming cheerful. Since you are my daughter now, Shatong, you only have to live for yourself in this life. No one will force you to do anything if you don't want to. Newgate suddenly became serious and said in a deep voice. Live for yourself. Shatong also fell into deep thought after hearing this. After all, she was in her previous life. The first half of his life was spent killing people for the Empire, and the second half of his life was spent killing people for the Revolutionary Army. She had lived for others all her life, but she had never lived for herself, nor had she ever had such an idea. And now, Newgate had told her to live for herself. Advertisement. Thank you, Dad. After thinking for a moment, Shatong nodded happily. She was too tired in her previous life. In this life, she wants to live for herself. Goo la la la. Come on, I'll take you to meet your brothers and sisters. Newgate walked out of the room and walked towards the deck with Kai Tong. At this time, Tsunade, Sakura, Marco, and Jinbei are all training hard. As for Chaozi, who was still too young, he happily watched his brothers and sisters exercise. Soon Newgate also came to the deck. Tsunade, Marco, come here. After hearing this, everyone immediately came over. This is my new daughter Edward Red Eyes. Newgate said excitedly. Hello, my name is Edward Tsunade. As the eldest sister, Tsunade was naturally the first to stand up and introduce. Hello. Shatong also responded politely. Hello, my name is Edward Sakura. Hello, my name is Edward Marco. Hello, my name is Edward Jinbei. Hello, my name is Edward Yoja. Quote. Because everyone was Newgate's child, they quickly became familiar with each other and chatted happily. Looking at this scene, Newgate also nodded happily. Then he clicked on Kai Tong's attribute panel. The system opens Kai Tong's attribute panel and reveals it. Name: Edward Red Eyes. Age: 17 years old. Potential: S+. Power: Class A. Speed: Class A+. Energy: Class A. Body grade: A. Combat skills: Top killing sword skills, curse and poison. Ability: Yu Xiaojiao. Evaluation: Transformed into a demon sword and the demon sword merged into one, a natural killer, born to kill. Close double angle bracket. Newgate was also a little surprised to see Shatong's attribute panel. He didn't expect that the ability of Kai Tong and demon sword to merge into one would also be brought to this world. After all, as long as Shatong's poison can enter the opponent's body, the opponent will almost certainly die, and there is no way to detoxify it. Newgate vaguely seemed to see a murderous god rising. After checking the attributes of Red Eyes, Newgate called Josie over. First, he was given a potential enhancing potion. Name: Edward Yoja. Advertisement. Age: 4 years old. Potential: S+. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body grade: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: none. Evaluation: an honest guy with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. Josie's potential was directly upgraded to S+ level. Newgate then fed the diamond fruit to Josie. Seeing Josie's disgusting look, Newgate's mood of being disgusted by eating shock fruit suddenly became much more balanced. As the diamond fruit was eaten by Josie, his attribute panel also began to change. Name: Edward Yoja. Age: 4 years old. Potential: SS. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body grade: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: Diamond fruit. Evaluation: an honest guy with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. SS level potential. Seeing Josie's potential, Newgate couldn't help but exclaimed in his heart. So amazing. After all, the diamond fruit is just an ordinary devil fruit. I thought that eating it would only increase Josie's potential by a small level. But I didn't expect Josie to improve so much. It seems that diamond fruit and Josie are very compatible. Newgate thought to himself. After all, devil fruit can only have its greatest effect when eaten by the right person, just like shock fruit. In Newgate's hands it is the top devil fruit. After eating the shock fruit, Newgate's potential directly increases by a large level, directly from S+ to SS+. But what about before Newgate? Shock fruit behaves like a very ordinary fruit. And to celebrate, Newgate has 2 more kids, so the banquet started again on the Moby DK. It's rare to be happy. Tsunade also allowed Newgate to drink some wine. And just when the Moby DK was happily holding a banquet, I don't know when a small boat came to the side of Moby DK, and 2 figures sneakily climbed onto the Moby DK from the small boat. Chapter 34 Roger. Rayleigh. Newgate, who was drinking, suddenly had a flash of light in his eyes. Dad. Tsunade, Sakura and Chitomi also discovered something and looked at Newgate. Newgate glanced at Tsunade and then nodded. After receiving Newgate's approval, Tsunade, Sakura, and Chitomi disappeared in an instant. Where did Tsunade and the others go? Marco looked at the direction in which the 3 people disappeared and suddenly said with some doubts. Don't worry, 2 little mice climbed up. They went to catch mice. Newgate continued to drink the wine from the bowl and said nonchalantly. Oh. After hearing this, Marco stopped talking and turned around to continue fighting with the person in front of him. At this time in the shadow of Moby DK. Roger. Is this really okay for us to do? Rayleigh asked Roger worriedly. It's okay. Newgate and the others are having a banquet, they won't notice that a few barrels of wine are missing. And we just took a few barrels of wine. Even if the Newgate guy is discovered, he won't blame us. Roger said confidently. But I still feel bad. After all, this is a thief. Rayleigh still felt something was wrong. Believe me, everything is fine. It's all because we ran out of wine on the ship. This is not okay. Rayleigh put one hand on her straw hat and said carelessly. Then it's not all your fault for drinking too much. Hearing this, Rayleigh curled her lips and complained. Well, don't be so hurtful, Rayleigh. Strange power. Bump. Roger said carelessly, but before he finished speaking, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Roger. He punched Roger hard. Because the figure appeared so suddenly, Roger could only have time to cover himself with armament hockey before he was knocked away. Roger. Rayleigh exclaimed when he saw this and was about to take action to check Roger's condition. Advertisement. Shadow killing formation. Suddenly a soft voice appeared in Rayleigh's ears, and as the voice sounded, countless shadow spikes suddenly trapped Rayleigh in all directions. Feeling the shimmering shadow spikes around him, Rayleigh suddenly didn't dare to move. However, the hand behind his back has quietly reached towards his knife. PFF'd. I saw a black shadow spike directly piercing the hand behind Rayleigh's back, and blood immediately flowed out. Don't move, otherwise, it will be your throat next time. As the delicate voice sounded again, a girl in a black evening dress slowly walked out of the shadows. What a terrifying power. It almost hurt me. Roger got up from the ground, dusted himself off, and found no injuries at all. Tsunade frowned when he saw this scene. You must know that she had already used all her strength in that move just now, without holding anything back. But Roger was not injured at all. Whoosh. Suddenly, from the shadow of the corner behind Roger, a figure shot out quickly, holding a long knife filled with poison. The figure quickly came behind Roger and put the long knife directly on Roger's neck. Don't move. If you get hurt by this knife, you will die immediately. The person holding the knife was clearly a girl with black hair and red eyes. These 3 people are Tsunade, Sakura and Akahome. Will you die if you get cut? Roger grinned. He didn't believe it at first, but when he felt the threat from the long knife, his smile stopped abruptly. But he immediately laughed and said, wouldn't it be better if I didn't get hurt? As he spoke, Roger immediately covered his hand with a thick layer of armament hockey, and then grabbed the long knife. What? Seeing this incredible scene, Kai Tong also exclaimed. After all, Akita has just arrived in this world, so he doesn't know armament hockey's ability. With a strong force of his hand, Roger threw Chitong and the knife in Tsunade's direction. Tsunade saw Chitong's figure and quickly caught her. Ha ha ha. Rayleigh. Why were you arrested? When Roger saw that Rayleigh was trapped and didn't dare to move, he couldn't help laughing. Stop talking sarcastically. Help me. There are armament hockey on these spikes. I don't dare to move at all. After this period of training, Sakura also learned armament hockey. Although the level is not high. Advertisement. But it's enough to deal with Rayleigh. After all, Rayleigh is just entering the Admiral level for the first time, although hockey is a higher level than Sakura. But, do not forget, Sakura's energy is almost endless, and she can control a large number of shadows to attack Rayleigh in all directions, making it almost impossible to defend against. Although Rayleigh can perform full-body armament hockey hardening, but the result of that is that the strength of the armor color hardening is too low, and it cannot defend against the shadow spikes that entangle armament hockey. Ha ha ha. Just wait. While talking, Roger was about to save Rayleigh when a voice interrupted them. Goo la la la. Roger. Rayleigh. Come over here, what's the point of bullying my daughters over there? Newgate's bold voice came from the deck. Hear this. Everyone stopped moving, and the shadow spikes around Rayleigh receded quickly like the tide. Then the three Tsunades brought Roger and Rayleigh to the deck. Roger. Newgate. As soon as the two met and didn't say anything, they immediately slashed at each other with the knife. God avoids. Overlord Jen. As the two roared, their weapons instantly burst out with countless black lightnings. What is different about Newgate is that his cloud slice is also covered with a white sphere. Bump. Crackling. Kong Yunchi and Ace collided together, and the aftermath of the collision even made the surrounding sea boil. This time the two people fought, they were evenly matched, and no one could do anything to the other. Ha ha ha. Goo la la la. The two looked at each other, and then burst into laughter. You've become stronger again, Newgate. Roger put Ace back into the scabbard and said to Newgate. Goo la la la. Aren't you the same? Just like a monster. It's already a martial level strength, right? Chapter 35 Rayleigh. I seem to see my breasts that day. That's right. Newgate felt the martial level strength from Roger. In the previous collision, Newgate had gone all out, plus the ability of shock fruit. The strength that exploded was definitely that of a first-time martial. But, in the collision with Roger, the two were evenly matched, and neither could do anything to the other. This is not to say that the two people have exactly the same strength. After all, after Newgate explodes with all his strength, it is absolutely impossible to control the output of power so smoothly. There are fluctuations. In this case, he was evenly matched with Roger. Then there is only one possibility. That is, Roger's strength has surpassed his own, reaching martial level strength. Only in this way can he accurately control his power. But it's true. After all, during the war in the Valley of the Gods, Roger and Garp were able to defeat rocks. Although I don't know what their fighting process was like. But one thing is for sure. During the war in the Valley of Gods, Roger and Garp were definitely at the peak level of martial, and possibly even higher, reaching the level of first-time king. Roger. What did you and Rayleigh want to do sneaking onto my boat? Newgate asked doubtfully, not knowing what Roger wanted to do. Well, we're here to steal wine. We don't have any wine on the ship to hold a banquet. Roger heard this and immediately held down his straw hat and said carelessly. Snapped. Seeing this, Rayleigh also helplessly covered his eyes, pretending not to recognize him. This guy is so arrogant. Just forget about stealing wine and still say it so loudly. Goo la la la. Newgate burst out laughing when he heard this, as expected of you. Roger. Sure enough, Roger is still Roger, always playing his cards out of the box. Gu tilde tilde tilde. Suddenly a strange sound came into everyone's ears. Everyone was looking for the direction of the sound in confusion. I'm sorry. I'm hungry. You're having a party in Newgate. Can you take me with you? Roger touched his belly and said without any embarrassment. I go. Everyone around them was stunned when they saw this scene. Please. Brother. You are a thief. Now he even wants to join our banquet. Quote. Rayleigh could no longer look at it. After all, it was so embarrassing. A big pirate in the New World turned out to be a thief for a few barrels of wine. Even being a thief was discovered. But now he wants to drink alcohol openly. Goo la la la. Advertisement. Can Newgate was also stunned for a moment, and then he boldly agreed. Dad, Tsunade shouted, not quite understanding. It's okay. Roger is not a bad person. Since he is here, he is our friend. Newgate said nonchalantly. Come and cheers. Welcome our friends. Newgate raised the wine glass in his hand and said happily. Welcome to my friend. Quote. His own captain said this, and others also agreed. Roger is indeed the little prince of communication. Since joining the party, I have immediately established rapport with everyone. After drinking glasses of fine wine, more than half of the pirates were drunk by him. At this time, in the middle of the banquet venue, Rayleigh and Chitong didn't know when they were sitting face to face, as if they were competing for something. It turned out just now. Rayleigh was sitting in the corner, drinking wine leisurely. He was not as social as Roger, so he went to the corner and drank alone. Chitong just joined this big family today, and due to her personality, she came to the corner with a lot of food and started eating by herself. Little girl, how can you eat so much by yourself? Rayleigh took a sip of wine and said with some surprise. It's just such a small amount of food, you won't be able to eat it, right? Kai Tong glanced at Rayleigh and said disdainfully. What? This little food is not enough to fill my teeth. I can eat twice as much as this. Rayleigh was angered by Chitong's words and said angrily. I could eat 3 times more. Then I'll eat 4 times. 5 times. Quote. The two people started to argue, and their situation was discovered by everyone. People gathered around to watch the excitement. That's why the scene just happened. Moby DK's first Big Eater competition begins now. Rayleigh vs. Red Hitomi. You give up. Little girl. Rayleigh looked at Chitong sharply and said. Quote. Chitong didn't speak, but her eyes were full of confidence. It seems like something interesting happened over there. Newgate and Roger also noticed what happened here. Oh, that guy Rayleigh is going to compete with your daughter in the Big Eater competition. Go and see. After speaking, Roger quickly came to Rayleigh and Chitong. Big Eater contest. Advertisement. Hearing this, the expression on Newgate's face became very strange. Others don't know, but he knows. Although Chitong's daughter is just a skinny little girl. But he is a big eater. He never gets full no matter how much he eats, and he also has a magical ability. No matter how much you eat, you won't get fat. After watching a good show, I wonder if Rayleigh will doubt his life. Newgate said with interest. Soon the game between the two has officially begun. Both of them had a large pile of food in front of them, and it was getting smaller at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. But as time goes by, Rayleigh's speed began to slow down slowly. Looking back at Chitong, he was still taking in the food in front of him very quickly. Come on, eat more. Come on. Quote. The people around them were also cheering for the two of them. Rayleigh, hurry up. Do you know that you are about to lose? Roger saw Rayleigh slowing down and said anxiously. But Rayleigh was not a big eater after all, so she quickly stopped and looked uncomfortable. Ouch. Rayleigh, can you do it? You lost to a little girl. No, our pirate team can't lose this person, I'm here to help you. After saying that, Roger opened Rayleigh's mouth directly, and held food in his other hand and stuffed it into Rayleigh's mouth. Ooh. Rayleigh frantically tried to break free from Roger's control. But the difference in strength between the two is so great that Rayleigh simply can't break free. I understand, you don't need to thank me, I will try my best. Hearing Rayleigh's whine, Roger actually thought Rayleigh was thanking him. The speed of his hand turned out to be a little faster. Quote. Hearing this, Rayleigh was also stunned for a moment. Rayleigh was numb and shouted in his heart. Who can thank you? If I keep eating like this, I will die. Then he struggled more violently. Until later, Rayleigh had no strength to struggle anymore and was about to lose consciousness, but the severe pain in his stomach made him wake up every time. Time's up. The game is over. As the sound of the end of the game sounded, Roger stopped what he was doing. Rayleigh was thrown to the ground like a broken toy. At this time, his eyes were dull and he was lying motionless. Years later, whenever Rayleigh recalled this day, she would say with a painful look on her face, I seem to have seen my breasts that day. As for the final result, Of course Chitong 1. Chapter 36 Development of Shock Fruit. Morning. The sun shines on the rippling sea like golden dragon scales. Roger and Rayleigh left the Moby DK after the party last night. Of course. Rayleigh was carried away by Roger. When he was leaving, Rayleigh saw Kai Tong on the deck. Suddenly his whole body couldn't help but tremble, and it seemed that it had left a shadow on his heart. As for wine, Newgate eventually sent a few barrels to Roger. After all, in order for Roger to give birth to a son for himself, it is better to raise Roger well now. At this time, Newgate was sitting cross-legged on the deck of the Moby DK, lost in thought. After all, after feeling Roger's strength at close range, Newgate's desire to become stronger also became stronger. After all, the two of them were strong men of the same era. But unknowingly, Roger had been ahead of him for so long. So Newgate got up early today, came to the deck, and thought about how to develop Shock Fruit's ability. Now he has mastered all the skills that he used to develop Shock Fruit's abilities in his previous life. Earthquake. Use the Shock Fruit's ability to hit the air hard, cracking the atmosphere and causing vibrations that can shake the earth. It can quickly destroy a large number of buildings and crack the surrounding land, thus changing the terrain. Seaquake. Use the Shock Fruit to emit a force that is enough to split the sea. By shaking the sea surface, it can then trigger a large tsunami to engulf the target. Once it is emitted, it is difficult to stop this huge force, and an island can be destroyed in a snap. Air Shock. Use Shock Fruit's ability to make a white ball cover appear when you make a fist with one or both hands. Use this ball cover to shatter the target it touches. After all, it is a skill that has been developed, and you just need to follow the steps. But Newgate had always felt that Shock Fruit couldn't be that simple. I feel that Shock Fruit still has a lot of potential that can be tapped, but it always feels like something is missing. It seemed as if it touched upon his blind spot of knowledge. Dad, what's wrong? At this time Sakura also came to the deck out of nowhere. No, I'm just thinking about how to continue developing Shock Fruit. But I still have no clue. It's so annoying. Newgate scratched his head and said irritably. Advertisement. Development of Shock Fruit. Sakura shook her head helplessly when she heard this. Then he said as if he remembered something. Dad, I don't understand the development of Shock Fruit, but there is some common sense that if you understand it, it may be beneficial to your fruit development. Common sense. Come on, tell me. Newgate also became interested after hearing this. After all, Sakura comes from a world with relatively advanced technology and has gone to school, so she sorted out the knowledge in her mind and began to say, vibration is a common phenomenon in the world. It is generally divided into macroscopic vibration, such as earthquakes and tsunamis, and microscopic vibrations, thermal motion of elementary particles, Brownian motion. I know about earthquakes and tsunamis. But what basic particles move and what don't move? What are they? Newgate asked with some confusion. How to explain it? Sakura scratched her head and felt a headache. Because he doesn't know much about these, he just learned them when he was in school. The movement of basic particles means that everything in this world, whether it is people, all soil or sea water, is composed of basic particles. And these particles are vibrating all the time. Sakura thought for a moment and said, oh, I understand. That is to say, my sea shock and air shock skills are all macro shocks. And the vibrations of basic particles are microscopic vibrations, right? Newgate suddenly seemed to understand something and said excitedly. Yeah, that's right. Sakura also nodded when she heard this. I think I already have the next development direction for Shock Fruit. Newgate seems to have opened the door to the new world. Inspirations burst out from my mind one by one. But in order to affect the movement of microscopic particles, you still have to sense the microscopic particles first. Newgate held his chin in thought. So in the following time, Newgate began to use observation hockey, or Shock Fruit's ability, to sense the movement of microscopic particles. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, ... This kind of difficulty is not ordinary. At first, Newgate was unable to sense the movement of microscopic particles. But after working hard day after day. Advertisement. Finally. 1 month later. Goo la la la. I finally succeeded in sensing the movement of microscopic particles. This world is so interesting. It turns out that things that seem to be stationary, such as rocks, the elementary particles of those things are actually constantly moving. It's so interesting. After training, Newgate's observation haki has actually reached the point where it can perceive elementary particles. It is different from Roger's ability to hear the sounds of all things and Katakori's ability to predict the future. Newgate has honed observation haki's ability to observe subtleties to the ultimate level. What would happen if we used shock fruit's ability to generate opposite vibrations and stop the vibrations of these particles? Newgate was thinking in his mind, and then turned his attention to the chickens in the cage nearby. The power of shock fruit started to activate, and in Newgate observation haki's perception, all the basic particles that made up the chicken stopped moving. In the macroscopic world, the chicken seemed to have suspended time. Standing there quietly, motionless, not even breathing at all. You died, Newgate thought with some confusion. However, those particles only stood still for a few seconds and then resumed their original motion. The chick had no idea what was happening to it and continued to eat the food. Can you just stop those particles for a moment? Newgate rubbed his chin in thought. But it's also very strong. It's like stopping that chick's time. Newgate said with satisfaction. With this move, let's call it time stop. Newgate thought to himself. But this is using shock fruit's ability to stop the movement of elementary particles. What if we speed up the movement of elementary particles? Newgate thought of it and started doing it immediately. Shock fruit's ability is activated directly, and under his observation haki's perception, all the basic particles in the chicken's body begin to accelerate. In Newgate's eyes, the figure of the chicken seemed to be accelerating. You can use this trick on yourself to make yourself faster. Newgate thought to himself. This trick is called shock fruit overclocking mode. Development of the 37th shock fruit 2. It's okay to say that it's time to stop. After all, it's acting on the enemy, so there's no need to worry even if something goes wrong. But, shock fruit overclocking mode, after all, is acting on yourself. Let your mind and body speed up overall. If something unexpected happened, someone would die. Therefore, Newgate dare not apply it on himself for the time being. But this is normal. After all, it only took a few minutes to develop the overclocking mode. After further improvements, you can use it with confidence. Shock fruit is indeed the most suitable devil fruit for me. Newgate thought to himself, just when Newgate was about to take a break. Suddenly I saw the waves on the sea colliding together, creating chaotic waves. Sudden. An inspiration immediately appeared in Newgate's mind. Confusion. Spray. Shock. Wave. Newgate seemed to have entered a mysterious state. There seems to be inspiration for the development of shock fruit, but something is missing. It's obvious that I want it, but I can't get it. This feeling gave Newgate a headache. Tsunade ne. How do you think the waves are produced? So beautiful. Sakura sat on the edge of the deck, swaying her little feet happily and said. Haha. That's because the direction of the water's movement changes when there is an external force, so it breaks away from the current and turns into waves. Tsunade also rubbed her cheek gently and said. Movement in different directions. Confusion. Goo la la la. I finally know. Newgate heard the exchange between Tsunade and Sakura, and his doubts and confusion suddenly became clear. If you think of it, do it. Confusion. Newgate, whether in time stop or overclocking mode, allows elementary particles to stop or accelerate in an orderly manner. But, now Newgate wanted to make elementary particles behave in chaotic, irregular motions. Imagine that the direction of molecular motion in a person's body becomes irregular and the speed and amplitude of motion are all enhanced. What would happen? Newgate didn't know, but now was the time to try it with the chick in front of him. The chicken in the cage suddenly seemed to feel some danger and started running up and down in a panic. Chicken. Kunkin me. I'm going to have S*X today. Newgate hesitated no longer and activated shock fruit's ability. Advertisement. Originally, the basic particles in the chicken's body were moving in an orderly manner. But, with the interference of shock fruit's ability, the basic particles began to move irregularly. And as time goes by, the motion range of elementary particles continues to expand. Sudden. Bump. There was a violent sound, and the chicken exploded into blood on the spot. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Even Newgate was shocked by this scene. He didn't expect it to turn out like this. Is this the power of shock fruit? Newgate looked at his hands in disbelief. You must know that shock fruit's ability has not been awakened yet. To be able to possess such terrifying power. What if you wake up? How far can it reach? Really reaching a time pause? Or go back in time? Newgate had no way of knowing. But now the power shown by shock fruit has made him very satisfied. What's the name for such a terrifying move? Newgate thought back to the time when the chicken exploded on the spot. Call for C*K bang. Or explode on the spot. Or. Newgate held his own in his hand, lost in thought. If you have it, call it return of life. Return everything in life to nature. And when shouting this move, it can also mislead others. Will the system open my properties panel? Name: Edward Newgate. Age: 32 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: SS class. Speed: S+ class. Energy: S+ level. Body level: S. Combat skills: Top Conquerors Hockey Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation C Shock Earthquake Air Shock Stop Shock Fruit Overclocking Mode Life Return. Ability: Shock Fruit. Evaluation: This guy is terrifyingly powerful, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes being a father. Close double angle bracket. After this period of time, Shock Fruit was developed. The powerful vibration force of Shock Fruit will also put a burden on Newgate's body. So, advertisement. When your body begins to adapt to this kind of vibration, Newgate's strength has also improved qualitatively. First of all, the strength has broken through to the martial level. Although the speed and energy have not yet broken through to the martial level, it is only a matter of time. Newgate has clearly felt the changes in his body. The speed and energy are only one step away from reaching the martial level. But what gives Newgate a headache is that his physical level has not improved at all. It was obvious that he had reached the limit of his body. But Newgate has no way to solve this problem now. You can only pay attention to the maintenance of your body in your daily life. And check your body frequently and treat your hidden diseases in time. Keep your body in a healthy state as much as possible. At the same time, Newgate is also somewhat lucky that his eldest daughter is Tsunade. After all, Tsunade's medical level is indeed very high. Even though Newgate has been using Shock Fruit's ability wantonly for this month. But, still healthy despite Tsunade's treatment. However, feeling the increasingly cold weather, Newgate secretly thought, it's getting closer and closer to gathering at Beehive Island. Then Newgate gathered everyone on the Moby DK. Newgate was sitting calmly in his exclusive seat in the middle of the deck. Everyone looked at him with admiration. Goo la la la. Do you know why I gathered you today? Newgate said with a smile. Everyone had confused looks on their faces when they heard this. Did Dad have something important to announce? Marco asked with a confused look on his face. That's right. In just a little while, we're heading to Hive Island to join the Rock's pirate. But, accordingly, the future battles will become more and more dangerous. So from now on, everyone should go into full strength to improve their strength. To ensure that they can survive in future battles. Newgate said loudly. They all knew that Newgate had received an invitation from Rox, the strongest man in the world. So, after Newgate announced this arrangement, no one had any objections. Started exercising with all my strength. So does Newgate. He wants to break through his strength to the first martial level, and also consolidate his strength. As for Tsunade, Sakura, Akahomi, Marco and others, the same was true when they started training with all their strength. Chapter 38 The strength of all members has improved. See Circle Calendar November 1, 1480. At this time, there is a certain sea area in New World. On the deck of the Moby DK, a large group of people were solemnly accepting Newgate's inspection. After Newgate gave the order, everyone began to work hard to improve their strength. Getting ready to join Rock's pirate. Don't talk about others. Let's just say that the strength of Newgate's pirate minions has improved qualitatively. Now the weakest person has the strength of a major level. The strongest one even has rear admiral level strength. Don't think this is nothing. You know, the strength of the vast majority of people in this world can only reach the peak marine level at best. And now, more than 50 of Newgate's men actually had the strength of major level or above. Newgate's men alone can exert the combat power of 500 or even 1,000 Marines. As for Newgate and his children, their strength has also improved a lot. First Newgate. Name: Edward Newgate. Age: 32 years old. Potential: SS+. Power: SS class. Speed: SS class. Energy: SS level. Body level: S. Combat skills: Super Top Conqueror's Haki Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation C Shock Earthquake Air Shock Stop Shock Fruit Overclocking Mode Life Return. Ability: Shock Fruit. Evaluation: This guy is terrifyingly powerful, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes being a father. Close double angle bracket. Newgate's comprehensive strength has completely broken through to the martial level. Although he has only reached the level of martial for the first time. But, if Newgate is desperate and opens the fourth gate of the 8 inner gates, he can even compete with the peak martial level. And, the new skills developed by Newgate for Shock Fruit can definitely play a huge role in fighting enemies. Tsunade's words. Name: Edward Tsunade. Age: 18 years old. Potential: SS. Power: S+ rank. Speed: S class. Energy: S+ level. Body level: SS. Combat technique: Advanced Conqueror's Haki Chakra Refining Technique Wei Li Pain Tian Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark. Ninja Art: Meiotic Regeneration. Beehive Technique. Ability: None. Evaluation: A member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has not yet awakened, has good potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Close double angle bracket. After all, Tsunade is already 18 years old, and at this time, Tsunade's strength is in its explosive period. So Tsunade has the biggest improvement in strength among all the people. Not only has the overall strength been improved to the admiral level, the physical level has been upgraded to the martial level. Tsunade and Newgate are simply two extremes, one with a very different physical level. One is that the physical level is awesome. Every time he saw Tsunade's physical level, Newgate would be jealous, and he also thought about when he would be able to have a physical level like Tsunade. After Tsunade's hard training, her Conqueror's Haki has also been upgraded to an advanced level. After all, Tsunade's exposure to Conqueror's Haki was relatively short, so he was not promoted to the Admiral level. Advertisement. But, it's almost there. If Tsunade is given a little more time, it should be almost there. Sakura's words. Name: Edward Sakura, Dark Sakura. Age: 6 years old. Potential: S+. Power: F+ class E+. Speed: F+ class E+. Energy: F+ level S+ infinity. Body grade: F+ E+. Combat skills: Beginner Conqueror's Haki, starting. Ability: Blackening Magic Circuit Contract Seal. Evaluation: The girl who masters magic has terrifying power hidden in her body. Power enough to destroy an entire city. Close double angle bracket. Although Sakura's strength has improved a lot, she is still too young after all. So even though Sakura worked very hard, her strength was only upgraded to the peak marine level. But, if Sakura turns black, she will rely on her endless magic power and her ability to control shadows. Even an ordinary admiral would not gain anything from her. Chitong's words. Name: Edward Red Eyes. Age: 17 years old. Potential: S+. Power: Class A+. Speed: S class. Energy: Class A+. Body grade: A+. Combat skills: Elementary Conqueror's Haki's Top Killing Sword Technique, Curse and Poison. Ability: Yu Xiaojiao. Evaluation: Transformed into a demon sword and the demon sword merged into one, a natural killer, born to kill. Close double angle bracket. In Kai Tong's case, all attributes have been improved by a small level. And the speed finally broke through to the level of Admiral level for the first time. Coupled with the ability of the red pupil poison, even the Admiral class will never have an easy time facing the red pupil. If he is accidentally injured by the red pupil, he will definitely die. But Chitong's shortcomings are also more obvious. After all, if she wants to activate her ability to curse, she must hurt the opponent. But Red Eye's power and Conqueror's Haki's level are simply too low. Although the speed has exceeded the Admiral level. But even if you can encounter the enemy, if you can't break the defense, there is no point at all. Moreover, Chitong does not have a good sword in his hand. When Haki's level is not high, the sword often gets cut off. As for Marco, Jinbei, and Josie, the three little guys. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 7 years old. Potential: S+. Power: E class. Speed: E class. Energy: E class. Body grade: E. Combat skills: elementary physical skills. Ability: Fire Explosion. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. Close double angle bracket. Name: Edward Jinbei. Advertisement. Age: 6 years old. Potential: S+. Power: E+ class. Speed: E class. Energy: E class. Body level: E. Combat skills: Fishman Karate 15 stages of water strangulation, water arrow surfing. Ability: Water control. Evaluation: a silly fat-headed fish with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. Name: Edward Yoja. Age: 4 years old. Potential: SS. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body class: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: Diamond Fruit. Evaluation: an honest guy with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. The strength of Marco and Jinbei has improved a lot, and their basic strength has reached the major level. And Marco also learned some physical skills. But the biggest improvement is Jinbei. Jinbei is worthy of being a fishman, even though he is younger than Marco. In terms of physical strength, he is indeed much stronger than Marco. And the most powerful improvement of Jinbei is the development of its own water flow control. Water strangling is where Jinbei controls 3 huge streams of water to quickly attack the enemy. It uses the strong pressure of the water flow to strangle the enemy, which has terrifying destructive power. Water arrows, as the name suggests, use water flow to form water arrows and shoot them at the enemy. It's not very powerful, but it can be used to clear out miscellaneous soldiers. As for the final surf, he controlled the water flow to lift Jinbei. Jinbei can use this move to rush. As for Josie, although there has been improvement, this is not brought about by training at all, but entirely brought about by his own growth. After all, he is still too young to be trained. Newgate looked at his children and accepted them. Suddenly a sense of pride arose spontaneously. It had only been less than a year since he was reborn. The strength of the entire pirate group is almost as strong as that of the Whitebeard pirates in the previous life. Although there is still a lot of difference in numbers. But the high-end combat power is there. Strictly speaking, his current pirate group has 3 admiral-level members and 1 vice-admiral-level member. As well as 50 subordinates with the strength of major or above. Such power. Even if he faced off against the Whitebeard pirates, who were at the peak of their previous sins, Newgate didn't think he would lose. Goo la la la. Let's go to Beehive Island. Let's become famous in the world. Newgate waved his hand and said excitedly. Oh. After hearing this, all the pirates immediately took action. The Moby DK also turned its bow and headed quickly towards Beehive Island. Chapter 39 Teaching Tsunade. Beehive Island. See Circle Calendar January 1481. 2 months have passed since the Moby DK turned towards Beehive Island. It would have taken 1 month to reach Beehive Island. But, since there are still 2 months until the collection time, so Newgate is not in a hurry. Instead, we played along the way and headed to Beehive Island in a stop-and-go manner. Although I have visited these islands countless times in the more than 10 years since I became a pirate. But, none of my own children have been there. So Newgate stopped at almost every island to take Tsunade and the others around. Due to the particularity of the pirate world, each island has different customs. Tsunade and Marco were also feasting their eyes and having a great time. At this time, the Moby DK finally sailed to the waters near the hive. Tsunade, your Conqueror's Haki has reached the top level, it's time to teach you Conqueror's Haki. Newgate looked at Tsunade in front of him and said. Conquerors entangled. Tsunade's eyes flashed when he heard this. After all, the battle between his father and Roger left a deep impression on him. That kind of mid-air attack without contact is actually so terrifyingly powerful. Tsunade was also very envious, and now that he could finally learn, Tsunade couldn't help but get excited. Dad, hurry up and teach me. Tsunade said excitedly. The most difficult step in Conqueror's entanglement is the materialization of Conquerors. As long as you can master the materialization of Conquerors. Newgate said slowly. Then how do we materialize Conqueror's Haki? Tsunade asked. We usually release Conqueror's Haki to scare the enemy. But if we want to materialize Conqueror's Haki, we must forcibly control Conqueror's Haki and constantly condense it. Newgate said, then took control of his Conqueror's Haki and began to slowly condense it in his palm. Buzz. There was a soft groan, and then a dark red light spot appeared in Newgate's hand. This is Conqueror's Haki materialized. Newgate put his hand in front of Tsunade and said. The light spot looks very small, as if it can be easily scattered. Advertisement. But there is an extremely domineering power coming from the light spot, as if it can destroy everything. It feels so domineering. Tsunade said. The only thing you can do next is try it yourself. Newgate dispersed. Conqueror's Haki said. Tsunade nodded, sat aside and started trying. Newgate looked at Tsunade's efforts and nodded happily. And at this time, Beehive Island has arrived. Suddenly a pirate gangster pointed in one direction and shouted loudly. Newgate immediately looked in the direction of the pirate's finger. A small town and an island built around Skull Mountain appeared in Newgate's sight. At this time, there were already a large number of pirate ships docked around Beehive Island. We're finally here. I wonder how many guys have arrived. Newgate muttered to himself as he looked at the Beehive Island getting closer and closer. Soon, thanks to the efforts of the crew, the Moby DK docked at the port of Beehive Island. Newgate, along with Tsunade, Sakura, Red Hitomi, Marco, Jinbei and Josie, officially set foot on the land of Beehive Island. The others stayed on board the Moby DK to guard the ship. As soon as we got off the boat in Newgate, we immediately knew where the meeting point arranged by rocks was. That was at the foot of Skull Mountain on Beehive Island, where a tall platform had already been erected. You can see it even from where Newgate stands in the harbor. Without any further hesitation, Newgate carried the sedan and walked in that direction. Dad! Tsunade suddenly shouted to Newgate in front. What's wrong? Newgate looked at Tsunade with some confusion and asked, did you notice something was wrong? No. Tsunade heard this and shook his head and said, now that we have me, Sakura, and Kai Hitomi in our pirate group, Dad will try to be less aggressive in the future. Why are you afraid that Daddy will lose? Newgate then said loudly, gesticulating his muscles. Lousy wants to become the strongest man in the world, there is no way he will lose. Opening parenthesis question mark. Words. Bump. Upon hearing this, Tsunade immediately became angry and stamped on Newgate's feet. The reason why I don't let you take action is because of your broken body, which will always leave hidden diseases. Do you know that it is very tiring to treat you every time? Tsunade said angrily. Oh well. Advertisement. Newgate covered his feet in grievance and said, I will probably take action to establish my authority in a while. Newgate also knows his own body, so even if Tsunade doesn't say anything, he won't take action if it's not necessary. But, you just joined Rock's pirate. If you don't show your strength, who will listen to you? After all, we are all newcomers, so why should we listen to you? So Newgate has decided in his heart that he must show his strength today no matter what. And not just myself. Even your own children need to do this. In this way, in addition to Rock's pirate, Edward Newgate will become the second voice of Rock's pirate. Tsunade also nodded after hearing this. Leeway. He was the Hokage of Konoha village in his previous life, so he naturally knows a lot about this kind of thing. While Newgate and Tsunade were chatting. Before they knew it, they had arrived at the gathering place. at the foot of the huge Skull Mountain. Newgate wanted to continue, but suddenly stopped. Because a large number of pirates have gathered here at this time. Everyone is a big pirate who can be named. And there are still a large number of pirates coming one after another. Edward Newgate. A voice full of resentment rang in Newgate's ears. Newgate turned his head and saw that it was Captain Jon whom he had seen in Death Canyon. Goo la la la. Newgate looked at Jon and couldn't help but laugh. Isn't this Jon? Why were you invited too? You see, after I defeated you in Death Canyon last time, I got the supremely sharp sword Konginkiri there. As he spoke, Newgate proudly shook the Kong Yunchi in his hand. Edward Newgate. Seeing Newgate's proud look, Jon was so angry that his teeth itched. But in the end, he didn't say anything more. Instead, he turned around and found a seat to sit down, but his eyes were fixed on Newgate. Others heard that Newgate actually defeated Jon. Everyone immediately looked over with surprised expressions. To know, Jon is not weak at all, he truly has admiral-level strength. Unexpectedly, he would be defeated at the hands of Newgate. Everyone looked at Newgate with cautious eyes. Chapter 40. They are all scary guys. Ba Jin. With the arrival of Jon, pirates one after another came to the gathering point on Beehive Island. As time went by, some familiar faces also appeared in Newgate's sight. Just like the golden lion, the ground-length golden hair on the head is like a lion's mane, and the sideburns and beard are golden. Moreover, the man with very long sideburns and wearing traditional Japanese clothing with orange and yellow stripes came into Newgate's sight. Golden Lion Shiki. Shiki is not a simple guy. After the disbandment of Rock's Pirate, Shiki formed the Sky Pirates on his own. Galloping in the New World, he and Gul D. Roger and others are also old rivals for many years. In order to rule the world, he wanted to join forces with Gul D. Roger. After being rejected by Gul D. Roger, he became angry and a fierce battle broke out between the two pirate groups, which was called the Battle of Atwal. The Roger pirates, who were originally at the end of their rope, were saved by a sudden storm. Most of the Sky Pirates' fleet was driven into the bottom of the sea. In addition, due to an accident, the rudder of the ship was unfortunately inserted into the head of the Golden Lion. Due to the force of the rudder, pulling it out would be life-threatening, so the rudder has been embedded in his head ever since. Shiki could not believe that Gul D. Roger, who was considered his opponent, would be arrested, so he single-handedly entered the Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp and Admiral of Headquarters Sengoku entered the battle. The battle between the three destroyed nearly half of the town of Marineford before the winner was determined. After Shiki was defeated, he was taken to the world's largest prison, Impel Down, Level 6 Eternal Hell. Then Shiki cut off his own feet in Impel Down and successfully escaped. Impel Down became the first prisoner in Impel Down to successfully escape. Newgate looked at the high-spirited Shiki and felt very emotional. Although he, Roger and Shiki have always been rivals or enemies. But, at the same time, the three of them are also friends. Then another familiar figure came into Newgate's sight. A woman over 8 meters tall, with a hot figure, long pink hair, wearing a pink windbreaker and a white captain's hat appeared in Newgate's sight. Charlotte Linlin. At this time, Linlin was still very young and had a very hot figure. But when I think of Charlotte Linlin's physical talent, Newgate becomes envious. The steel balloon has such physical strength that it can withstand Admiral's attack entirely relying on its own defense. What concept? Even if you stand still, ordinary admirals can't break through the defense. There are only two people that Newgate can envy, one is Charlotte Linlin, and the other is Kaido who has not yet joined Rock's Pirate. That guy's physical talent should be what Newgate wants most. After all, that was the man who was known as the strongest creature in the world. Even if you jump from a height of 10,000 meters, you won't die, and your body's defense recovery ability is terrifying. It's not like he leaves hidden wounds at every turn. Linlin is also an extraordinary guy. Linlin has shown extremely powerful talents since he was a child. When he was 5 years old, Jorel, the elder of the giant tribe, regarded Linlin as an evil god, and planned to kill Linlin, but Linlin fell down instead and later died of serious injuries. Later, He and Longbread formed the BIGMOM pirate group with the goal of realizing Carmelo's wish to establish a peaceful country during his lifetime. Advertisement. She was first offered a bounty of 50 million berries, and now the bounty has been raised to 500 million berries. After the disbandment of Rock's Pirate, she returned to the BIGMOM Pirates and began to develop based on her special position in the waters of Toto Land. Become one of the New World 4 emperors in the future. As time passed, other people whose names Newgate could remember also came to Beehive Island. A tall man wearing a Chinese-style full-body armor, a giant sword on his back, and a waist-length beard. The Five Peaks Pirates. Akoku. A tall man wearing a Western-style full-body armor and holding a huge silver axe in his hand. Silver Axe Pirates. Silver Axe. Time passed bit by bit. Gradually, almost everyone who gathered on Beehive Island has arrived. Everyone present is a big pirate who has prospered in the New World. The weakest people have Vice Admiral level strength. Admiral class existences can also be seen everywhere. However, there is no Marshal level existence. After all, the Marshal level is not as easy to achieve as the Admiral level. There are only a handful of existences that can break through to the Admiral level. Not to mention Marshal level. There may not be a Marshal level strongman among 100 Admiral level ones. Moreover, the pirates present were not too young. Except for Newgate, Shiki, Linlin, Akoku, Jon and Silver Axe, they are relatively young and are around 20 to 30 years old. All the other great pirates are over 45 years old. But it's normal to think about it. After all, not everyone has such terrifying talents like Newgate and the others. Haha, am I late? While Newgate was thinking, a woman about 2 meters tall, with a fiery figure, blonde hair, and a white round hat decorated with a rose covered her mouth and laughed softly. Bajingam Stussy. Bajan. Seeing the appearance of this person, Newgate's pupils also shrank. The memories of the two of them came to mind in an instant. Although the two did not get married in the end, they still successfully gave birth to a son. But, due to his own personality, and the fact that almost all of his pirate group are his adopted sons and daughters. Advertisement. In order not to affect the unity of his pirate group and fear that his adopted sons and daughters might have grudges, Newgate did not take Barkin and his son with him. But it's just because of my choice. That led to them being attacked by pirates, but they survived with the help of their son's terrifying talent. But, his own son was also seriously injured and his intelligence was affected. From then on, Ba Jin always hated herself. However, Newgate also knew that he was in the wrong, so he never dared to meet her. Although in the end he also massacred the pirate group that attacked Bajan and his son. But, after all, what has happened cannot be changed. This incident also became a thorn in Newgate's heart. Until the day he died in his previous life, Newgate could not let go. Beauty, isn't it nice of you to have so many of us waiting for you? The moment Jon saw Ba Jin, his eyes suddenly lit up. He came to Ba Jin with a squinting look and said, "Everyone here is a respectable person. If they get angry, they will be in trouble. What should we do?" Bajan was also a little panicked. After all, she joined the Rock's Pirate as a scientist and her own strength was not that great. That's easy. Jon also grinned when he heard this, and stretched out his hand coquettishly, about to put it on Ba Jin's shoulder. "Make Lousy comfortable, I'll protect you, and let's see who dares to touch you." When the people around him saw this scene, they immediately frowned. Although they are all big pirates, they have done things like burning, killing and looting. But seeing Jon's disgusting face, he was also a little disgusted. But no one took action. After all, this is originally a world of the weak and the strong. Don't want. Barkin screamed and took a few steps back. Ha ha ha. Jon became even more excited when he saw this scene. Bang. Boom. Suddenly a figure appeared in front of Ba Jin, blocking Ba Jin behind him. Then he punched Jon straight away.